remove, actually decapacitate what they say. They went for that kind of information. I think they got great amount of intel which is available to them. Before they went for Lion Rise, they had enough intelligence. But from that period to now, through satellite, through focused tech and human intelligence, they got adequate intelligence to carry out strikes where they want.
Right. Now, Kuramabad, let's just speak about why is Kuramabad important, Tom? Why you've been talking about this place for the last 2-3 days. Yeah, go ahead.
I mean, it is one of the biggest, together with the one next to Khorramshahr, it's one of the biggest missile bases in Iran. It's actually a complex of 4 missile cities, underground missile cities in Kuramabad.
And it's not so far away from Kermanshah.
Kermanshah, yes. And Kermanshah is another such missile city, or has nearby several missile cities. So these are 2 principal missile bases in Western Iran. So they are crucial. They're responsible for most of missile strikes on Israel.
So if they are able to negate the launchers here,
yes,
and also perhaps a ballistic missile dump or a base that is there, will this set back Iran's ballistic capabilities?
Well, that is what I'm expecting to see all the time, already for days. I'm waiting to see, look, there are videos and strikes on these missile bases, but I see very little of it. Occasionally there is one or another video of hits on these commercial trucks, which are looking exactly like Iranian missile launchers, at least for the type of missiles fired at Israel. But nothing more. And this is what is surprising me in all of this.
Right. We're just putting some information and information graphics as we are speaking about Kuramabad on the screen, viewers. So just have a read of that. This base holds surface-to-surface cruise missiles. And that is critical. It also has ballistic missile base. It's an important center. And more importantly, from here, they can very easily train their guns over on Israel, because they'll fly over the Iraqi and the Syrian airspace and go all the way up to Israel. See, he's just going to squeeze that in, and this is Israel.
Sorry?
Yeah.
So, to show you that, why is it important? Because it's the closest area from Iran to Israel.
From Iran to Israel. And that's why you will usually see northern and central Israel that become the targets for these ballistic missile attacks, because they fall well within the range.
It is something
from
like 1,000 kilometers
from
border to border.
Of their medium ranges are supposed to be about 2,000, but effective ranges, if you look at it, is about 1,500.
Right.
And when you fly across, when you see the land border exactly between Israel and Iran, it comes out to be about 1,000
kilometers.
1,200 kilometers. And this is about a couple of 100 kilometers inside Iran.
Right.
So actually they are firing at the fringes of their range.
Correct.
Right? So that's to be
at least with majority of their missiles. There are heavier missiles as well, which have 2,000 kilometers range, and this can be fired from central and eastern Iran. And this is what we don't get any kind of news from this area at all.
Yeah, because we don't know where their launchers are in central and eastern Iran. We do not know.
There are several missile bases. They are also known, but we don't get to see anything. This is what is striking. Israelis and Americans are both busy with this narrative war and explaining they are destroying launchers, they are destroying launchers. Okay, fine, but show us that. We don't see that.
Right. Why are they not showing? This is a question that is often asked. Why wait for, say, 48 hours before you release the picture?
So this is what is called operational information. You know, we will also not like to reveal, because it allows the enemy or the other side to actually carry out recalibration, shifting, and understand that where they are getting hit. After all, when you put it into public eye, so you actually are able to tell that we are able to reach these areas. So you start planning and changing your tactics at the lower level. So I think that is one part. And second is,
please go on. Yes.
Please understand that majority of launchers are underground. Please, overground launchers, the experience. If you look at 30 years back or 20 years back, when the Iran-Iraq, US intervened in Iraq, that point of time also the Iraqis had a complex system which was overground, not underground, in which the launchers is to move in, there's to fire and scoot, and that kind of a system was on. So here also the similar system is going to be in place.
Right.
But here it is not launcher based. It is tunnel based launchers.
Underground.
Underground. So tunnel based launchers.
There is also, I think, a major problem.
Yeah, we must say
in the United States,
launchers,
especially for the Central Command. They never planned this part of the operation.
Yeah.
Or at least they have planned it, but now they have to adapt it. But the original plan, at least along the White House, was you bomb for 2 or 3 days and then there's going to be uprising and everything is going to be fine, which was unrealistic. Because this is what I get to hear from sources in the not in the White House, but in Washington. They say, we've talked, our senators have talked with President, and he has no plan at all, and he's constantly shifting aims of the war. So there is a complete chaos, and they don't know what are they planning.
Okay. Now,
look, Tom. While I totally respect your views about Trump, but Trump is not running the war. He's just the face. There's a machine which runs the war.
Absolutely.
Right.
Absolutely,
and the statement what Trump will, when he says that tariff is in place or trade is off, it doesn't mean the trade has totally collapsed. Right. The things which are happening, there is a system in place.
You're right.
Understand that the intelligence on underground tunnels, because we have seen a couple of clips. I'm not sure if you've seen it or not, but there are enough number of clips which are showing that how Iranians are firing from underground. So, if I am able to see those clips, I'm very sure the Americans know far much more. Second is the planning on regime change. I am quite sure Americans know till the time the protesters who are going to make the regime change are not armed, they are not trained, they are not organized, they just cannot do any dent to IRGC.
That is sure.
Right?
That is
so
sure.
they have an experience of Libya, they got an experience of Iraq, they got an experience of Afghanistan. Do you just suddenly think that they will imagine that where they had people who were armed and they were with them, suddenly they can land up in Iran where the protesters are common citizens who are coming onto the street without weapons, without anything, and they will be come up to it. There's nothing which is organized.
Right.
Right. And I think the American aim, they may say anything on the top.
Right.
Is not regime. It is regime degradation.
Regime.
You are absolutely right. I agree with you really without any
second is they need to take out the ballistic missiles.
I'm just adding.
They need to take out the nuclear weapons. But for the Americans, they need to ensure that Hormuz is blocked for some time. It is a larger geopolitical aim. We are talking of two differences. Geopolitical aim of Americans are totally different than what the Israelis' military and political aims are.
Correct.
They are not aligned.
Sir, permit me just one more remark.
Yeah.
I'm in absolute agreement with you. Really.
Thank you.
No dispute about this. I'm just adding details which point to specific patterns. One detail is there was no planning for more than 3 days.
Okay.
This is meanwhile sure. I mean, there was no planning. General is going to be able to confirm every armed force, any professional armed force has planned for anything, for almost any eventuality.
Right.
So there was a plan probably for this kind of operation too. So, but they now had to adjust this plan to the developing situation. That is one point. On the other hand, General is very kind and expecting competence from the American generals. Excuse me, sir. You shouldn't forget that in the last, 1 year, Trump has undertaken a lot to degrade this competence.
Right. Yeah.
That is the problem.
Now,
I will like the Indian public to listen to this, at least not in the case of Indian generals.
Right. No, the Indian generals think very differently. Now, his book on 88 hours, Operation Sindoor, chronicles what the Indian military think tank did, but they would have gamed, at least the Israelis would have gamed for an eventuality like this.
Are another story.
They're a different story. The American generals would have also gamed to a certain extent what their objectives would be. Sanjay Suri is with us. Sanjay Suri, you are in Tel Aviv. Just want to quickly understand from you, how many times are the sirens going off? Are the Iranians still continuing their wave of attacks?
It's fewer now. Compared to the first couple of days, we are hearing fewer sirens. There were 3, one after the other through the night last night, none since then. And the last day or so also there has been a reduction. So the experience on the ground here would appear on the face of it to match the claim from CENTCOM that the launches from Iran are down 86%. Whatever the precise percentage, they are down and they appear to be down substantially. What we don't know is what you're all really discussing and seeking to unravel.
Right.
Whether this may be a strategic move by Iran to hold on and to manage munitions and to launch them at a time of their choosing, or whether there is any significant degradation. This is something we do not know yet. We do have claims, we have counterclaims. At the moment, we certainly cannot say that this is the beginning of a linear
Cars,
reduction.
yeah,
of,
I see cars
Iranian
behind
missiles.
you, I see clear skies behind you, and you are saying the number of times the sirens have gone off and the Iranian assault towards Israel has come down over the last 24 hours. Now, does that mean that their ability to assault and penetrate has been reduced, or are the Iranians recalibrating at this point? We'll have to wait and watch, because there are these phases in an ongoing war or conflict where things will perhaps oscillate, and you would not know what the other side is doing before they come with a countermeasure. Let's quickly shift focus and bring in. Thank you, Sanjay. Stay safe, please. Yes, General Saab. Yeah.
You see, there are stages of operations, right? So let's say stage 1 of operation was to actually involve all the Gulf countries, create chaos, respond, kill, and be able to show to your own people that you are capable of responding to what is happening on the thing. And now you are taking positions and changing a posture. So that phase 1 is off. So what Sanjay is saying, that they may be keeping some forces out, and the next stage will start happening of carrying out strikes when it should. But what challenge with Iran is that Iran is encircled. Iran's military industrial complex is not so vast and entrenched. So besides making drones, which will be much more low cost and effective, their capacity to make ballistic missiles is going to be actually degraded. And if I'm not wrong, Israelis and Americans have trying to hit all those places where those things were being made. Right?
Yeah, the manufacturing facility. And a ballistic missile is not like a small knitted handkerchief that it can be turned around.
It's not like Shahid,
it'll take some time.
Shahid that they can just make it this thing. So,
now,
so that is one part. I think they don't have the capacity to be enabled and empowered from everybody else. Americans can ask the Ukrainians that we want more interceptors. Where does Iran go?
Yeah,
he doesn't have any option.
No, and the Americans will also take time to ship those interceptors, just as the Iranians will take time to build those ballistics. So both sides will have a logistic and a manufacturing issue. Although we've got pictures of the kind of extent of damage that we've seen around Tehran on the 3rd of March. These are pictures coming on from the 3rd of March. Huge amount of damage that's happened into commercial and also perhaps some residential areas that have been hit. Let's just quickly shift focus, viewers, and then bring it closer to us, because this is now in open international waters and there is a huge amount of debate closer home. This is the frigate that was blown up, General and Tom Cooper, and we'll just call the graphic here of the exact location where this happened. Now, this is where it's happened. This is where this frigate was blown up, not so far away from Sri Lanka, but the map is to scale, viewers, so we must understand that this is at least beyond the international waters or the boundaries of Sri Lanka, and this is in international waters a good 150 to 200 kilometers away, if not more, and also far away from Indian waters. But it's not so far away, General. Tom, it's not so far away. So is the question that's being raised closer home, was India not aware? Were we caught off guard? Is that a fair question or not? Tom?
I think it is not a fair question. I think Indian public must accept the fact that US Navy is over all the time somewhere here. There is at least one US Navy nuclear powered attack submarine somewhere near India all the time, any time of the day. Every day a week, every day.
So the Chinese could also be here. Our own submarines could be here. The Russians
the Chinese
could also
be there.
around.
The Chinese are sending 4, 5, 6 reconnaissance ships every year into Eastern Indian Ocean, into Western Indian Ocean. They're sending their submarines for sure into this area as well.
Right.
So there is foreign presence all the time.
There is presence. General Pandey,
Okay, let me just be clear. From the nearest place in Sri Lanka. This is about 40 nautical miles, if I'm not wrong.
Right.
Which is way beyond, double the distance from the territorial waters of Sri Lanka.
Right.
From Gaul. You know, there's a place called Gaul there.
Right. I'm going to just turn this and bring it down. Yeah. Sorry.
Get it down.
Let me help you.
Yeah.
Let me help you. See,
there.
Botswana and whatever. This is Pacific now. No?
Yeah. It's
stuck
just turned. There it comes back again.
So,
South Africa, and we go down here and we come back here.
Further.
Yeah, it's just rolling around a
Today's
bit.
flipping all the time.
Yeah, this is India, right. Let's flip this, and this is where this has happened. This location has happened here. Right. Okay. Now, this is where...
This is the area where the attack
you
has
just
taken
circle
place.
that area. Yeah, this is where it has happened.
Yeah, further down.
Further down here.
Right. Correct.
In international waters, you got to just activate the pencil. Yeah, the pencil.
Oh, so pencil. Okay,
Yeah.
sorry. Thank you.
Yeah.
So this area.
Yeah, so that's where it's happened. Yes,
So
General
firstly, it is about double the distance from the territorial water of Sri Lanka.
Sahib. Okay.
So it may be in the EEZ of Sri Lanka.
So this is the territorial waters of Sri Lanka.
Absolutely.
Yes.
These are the territorial waters.
Much
of
more closer.
Much closer to the
much
coast,
closer.
yeah, much
What
closer
Bharat?
to-
Bharat. Then is
It's
a
12 miles.
question of
So it's
EEZ.
12 miles.
Yes.
So Bharat's territorial waters are 12 miles. They are not so
There,
much.
there are,
12
all the
nautical
territorial waters are principally 12 miles. It's actually, nominally, it's even less than that. But
Okay. So
generally it's
this
accepted.
is just 12 miles.
Yes.
Yeah. Then you
Okay.
draw another line which is called about 200-mile line,
Okay.
which is the EEZ.
So this could be the EEZ.
Yeah.
Okay. This could be the EEZ,
little bit more.
and perhaps even a 200-mile here.
This is the exclusive
No, no,
zone.
EEZ. Yeah. Please come.
I'm sorry.
No, please come. Please draw it for us. So that, this is for viewers to understand this, that how far has it been from our territorial waters and even the EEZ. Now, okay, so this is the EEZ.
So in case of Sri Lankans,
Huh.
right, it may be part of the EEZ.
Okay.
But in our case, it is beyond our EEZ.
Okay.
Firstly, so territorial water is where we have got a say. EEZ is the place where we can farm, we can do our economic activities, where the ships can sail. So the ships, in case any ship has to sail into the territorial waters, they need to take our permission. They have to be under our
Right. But for EEZ, they don't
no.
need to take permission.
And for international waters, which is beyond, yes, name is Indian Ocean. And Indian Ocean doesn't stop here; it goes far
all the way up
beyond.
to the Antarctic.
So
yeah.
just because the Indian Ocean doesn't mean that we need to have knowledge of everything.
Right.
One is that. Second is submarines. It is I just can't say even for Indian Navy that where are their submarines, right? And this is what Tom is saying is absolutely right. There will always be ships. There will always be submarines who will always be moving and carrying out these activities in international water. So if anything which happens in international water, firstly, ethical question can be debated.
Right.
That was it fully armed? Was it fully prepared? Was it fully geared up to take on a
Right.
anti-submarine mission?
Let me come
Was-
between you, so both
Yeah.
of you are in the conversation. Yeah. Huh.
So, it's an ethical question. They were going from an IFR, they were going from an exercise with the Indian Navy in Milan, and thereafter they were returning to their respective. Who's responsible? Are we supposed to escort till Iran, off next to Hormuz, or in the territorial water, or into EZ, or hand over to a frigate of this thing? I think there can be huge amount of debate.
Right.
My requirement is that they came for a purpose. They are people in uniform. They know the scope, right? So one option was that they could have stuck around for some time, but I give full credit to Dena and their crew that they took a call. They need to go and fight back for the country, and they moved across for their purpose. It's a combat mission.
Right.
The moment you move into international waters in a war between two countries, everybody is a square meat, right?
Right.
You are supposed to be, you will be hunted down, and it's not the first time it's happening. It's always happened in Second World War and in between. So when Hexet says this is the first time it has happened, he was wrong.
Yeah.
It has already happened 4 times since then.
Correct. So that Tom himself caught him there saying that, it's happened many
After
times.
experiencing this for now more than a week, your hospitality as people in India, I think you are letting yourself a little bit too much influenced by this. Why? Because you think they were our guests, therefore we should have taken care of them. No, you haven't.
Okay. Yeah, it's about the Iranian frigate. That's because it was part of the Milan 2026 exercise, joint exercise, and it took part in it. But after that, and this happened in February, but the frigate was out. So it was out of our waters already.
And that's
My
it.
question, they were out for 6 days. Somewhere they were missing. One doesn't even know where they were.
Okay.
So actually, am I right? So, and I'm sure they are professional. Iranian Navy is
Especially
not a
naval officers.
naval officer, very, very professional. It's bad luck that yesterday they were having meal with us and today they are dead. That is how, unfortunately, people have to realize in civil street.
This is a reality of military service.
This is what
we, and we will not begrudge Iranians.
Now, if this is the Sri Lankan EEZ, Hegseth said this is international waters.
It is international.
It is international waters.
It is still international
Yes,
waters.
yes.
So that's all right. So he's not wrong there.
Some countries are declaring this external exclusion zone as an area that only they have the right to exploit the sea or whatever is underneath.
Like fishing rights, mining rights,
right.
Your rights to carry out putting in oil rigs, they will be there all for economic activities.
Yeah.
But by the way, the Chinese and even the Americans, I don't think they follow the union.
They don't
Yeah,
follow
yeah.
it. Okay,
They don't
let's
follow
just
it.
listen into Harsha De Silva, MP Sri Lanka, on this entire sinking ship. Siddhant is the one who's had a conversation with him. Listen in.
So yesterday in the Indian Ocean, in international waters, a torpedo, American submarine, hit the Iranian Navy ship, which was sailing back to Iran, and distress call was issued by the ship, and immediately the Sri Lankan forces, Coast Guard, Navy rushed to rescue the people on board. If I'm not mistaken, 30 of them have been rescued and 100 of them are still missing. Talk to us a little bit about this, and what is your government's position on American submarine hitting at Iranian ship in the Indian Ocean?
Well, it's disturbing, obviously. The Iranian ship was hit outside of sovereign territory. It's about 12 nautical miles, but this was at around 40 nautical miles, which means it is within extended economic zone, exclusive, and also within our search and rescue area. So it was our duty and obligation to support and help those in distress. So Sri Lankan Air Force and the Sri Lankan Navy deployed assets to rescue those who were still alive and brought to the Karapiti hospital in Gaul. So we did what we had to do. Now the issue is this ship, we understand, was in a fleet review exercise with many other navies at Visakhapatnam. And I don't think, had any idea it was in the south of Sri Lanka in Gaul. So that, from what I understand, was a surprise, and only got to know when the distress call came. So we did what we had to do, rescuing human life in danger. So that's what we did.
Right. Right. Yeah.
There are talks happening. People are talking about that we should have launched our rescue. Yes, we should have.
We should have,
But
yes.
by the time they were reached, all these actions have been done. The Sri Lanka was the fastest, closest.
And they said
launch.
that they had the obligation because it was within 40 nautical miles. So
Look, it is an obligation anywhere. Even in international water, if you see a ship sinking, it is a responsibility of other passing by mercantile
Right.
If there's a distress call, everybody
has
has to
call.
react.
We'll come because
Right.
now the ship is sinking. They are down. It's something like you're taking prisoner of war or refugee or saving people at
Right.
seas. So then at that point of time, even the Americans would have been there logically.
Right.
Ethically, they were accountable to pick up the people who were out and trying to save themselves.
Yes.
yeah. Tom. Yeah.
The same. I
You
can
agree?
just confirm this. There is an obligation to save people who have called for help. So therefore, Sri Lanka was the first in place. And well, India can send its own aircraft and ships over there, but it's doubtful they're going to find
this
anybody.
entire political questioning of why didn't India know, and this war is coming so
Why
close
didn't
to us.
India know? Excuse me. India certainly knows that there is a US Navy presence in the Indian Ocean. This is not new for 40, 50 years. When the Americans then decide to take action and sink Iranian Navy warship the coast of Sri Lanka, India cannot influence this, especially not in the case where there is a Trump government in power. Again, because he was certainly sitting in his situation around a room and oh, great, blow it away. That's it. That's how he thinks. He does not care about international.
No, I'm saying militarily, tactically, should we have intervened is a question, because these are not our waters, but they're very close to us. Perceptively, if I were to look at this map and I'll say, oh, this ship, it's not so far away on the map if I see it on the face. But this is about 250.
Going down and you can go to the Antarctic and say this was close to me.
Okay.
Right. So, you know, let's be very clear.
Right.
Are we going to fight for our boundaries and where we are? Or you wanted to become a
hegemon, which is this.
Yeah. And in any case, do you think that you know where our submarines are?
Right. Right. We're going to take a short break. We're going to take a short break. When we come back, we got a surprise for you at 2 p.m. this afternoon. I will tell you all about this. This is Closer Home. This is about the 88 hours that changed it all. And the man who's authored this is with us here in the newsroom. Why? How? What is it all about? After the break. Stay with us.
We're bringing you all the live and latest updates from Ground Zero, as CNN News 18 is the only channel with boots on the ground, particularly.
Never categorically rule out military participation in the escalating war, calls US-Israel strikes inconsistent with international law, though.
Now, it's important to highlight that the tensions in the Middle East are no longer just limited to...
US is not able to defend. Have a drone of massive, the number of ballistic missiles.
Where is it that Iran is actually placing its resources right now?
Tabriz, Sanandaj, Kermanshah, and this is now what they are doing since yesterday. They are conducting more or less organized.
This is our network phone. We've got some more images here. We've got another image of the US Navy's 5th Fleet Headquarters in Kuramabad.
Oman, Saudi Arabia, and this way to Europe.
Iran now has been completely, in some ways, dominated.
With ballistic missile attack. It means the Kuwaiti air defense was under big strain.
Navy submarine has torpedoed an Iranian frigate. We are talking about Iris Dana. This has happened off the southern coast of Sri Lanka in the Indian Ocean. Now, Iranian vessel, and this is what we are looking at as the war has spilled into our backyard. This is US Navy submarine sinking an Iranian frigate off the southern coast of Sri Lanka in the Indian Ocean, and that's where this has happened. And we are putting these graphics out for our viewers. Iranian vessel has been identified as Iris Dana. I just mentioned this. It's a guided missile frigate of the Iranian Navy and also pretty new. This was the latest that the Iranian fleet really had. This warship was sunk by a torpedo that was fired from the American submarine, striking the ship in international waters. And they have mentioned it. Pete Hegseth has gone on record and they have said that even though Iranians thought that their vessel would have been safe in international waters, clearly that was not the case. Sri Lankan authorities reported that 32 crew members were rescued. Others are missing or presumed dead. Here's where the problem really lies. As far as the Geneva Conventions, even if international waters are used in a war situation, the first thing that should be done is look for survivors. But the US submarine just left after torpedoing the Iranian warship. The strike part of the broader US military operations has been targeting Iranian military capabilities and including naval assets. And this one, of course, comes in line with exactly that. And that's why this is worrying. Certainly, a response by the Ministry of External Affairs is still pending because remember, the Iris Dana was, of course, returning from the IFR. It was an Indian multilateral exercise and it was returning from Visakhapatnam when this strike was carried forward. And how this is something that we would like to take this, in fact, forward.
All right. So in the studios, we are joined in by Major General Sanjay Meston and also joined in by Ambassador Prabhu Dayal on the broadcast as well. Many thanks to you, gentlemen, for joining in. Major General Meston, if I could quickly bring you in on the spillover effect of this war. You know, so far, Indians had this at the back of their mind that this is so far limited beyond, say, Pakistan at the moment. But not only have we seen palpable anger within our borders, but now with the military conflict brewing in the Indian Ocean, what is one to make of the situation right now?
See, the way the situation is emerging, I think in the international waters to target a ship which was not actually in warfare right now. It was coming after a review in the international naval review in Vizag, that to the Indian port, and in which
Welcome back. This is what is important, viewers. It was released in the UK 2 months ago. 88 hours. Did we lose a Rafale? Did we hit Kirana Hills? What's the truth there? Who had the initiative in the first hour? Did we achieve all our objectives? Well, all of that at 2 p.m. this afternoon. But this is the copy. General Saab, this is the copy of what's been authored by Tom Cooper along with Ravi Rikhe and this one. Oh, this is not planned, viewers. I just wanted you to open and say, Tom, what have you covered in this? Sit, please.
Come. You can take a look while I'm explaining the book. Thank you very much for asking. Thank you very much for
you have to thank
it.
Rahul Shivshankar also, because he's the only one who had this copy. He got it from the UK, so
Yes,
he's the only one who said this. Yes. So, but this is now available at our bookstores. 88 Hours is what the book is called. 88 Hours War, and the entire series. What have you done in this?
Well, firstly, we have explained how comes this conflict. Yeah. Why was it fought? On one side, Pakistani jihad import-export business. On the other side, Indian overcaution and strategic problems over the years. Then the nuclear standoff between the two countries, and then the gradual increasing number of precedents. Because India, it's not since yesterday that India has started reacting more forcefully to Pakistani provocations, but ever more often and ever more forcefully.
Right.
So this is not like, oh gosh, this came out of nothing.
I saw a very interesting page that you were looking at. It's called the PL-15E hoax.
Yes.
So what is that hoax? Why is that? It's not now. It's at 1400 hours here at CNN News 18. 1400 hours when we're going to talk. What we're going to do now is get back inside the war room and then understand tactically where we stand. Let's shift focus to the Strait of Hormuz, viewers. And this is where our experts believe the USS Lincoln is. Is this where it is right now?
Somewhere there, yes.
Somewhere there.
There seems to be unclarity what happened to one of Iranian kilo-class conventionally powered attack submarines. Therefore, U.S. Navy is not going to move its aircraft carrier anywhere closer to Iran right now.
Closer to Iran. Now, if USS Lincoln is here, we also have a traffic jam here. And there are about a lot of Indian ships which are stuck.
Even more so here, up here. There is a big group here, there is another group here, and another group here. So they are all waiting outside of Iranian territorial waters. Sorry, I drew this a little bit too close to Iran. But essentially they are waiting outside of territorial waters to see what happens.
Yeah, when you look at this map to scale, viewers, this is 300 kilometers. So that's a lot of space.
That is less.
This is less.
40 kilometers.
40 kilometers. This is 40 kilometers. It doesn't look like 40 kilometers, but it is 40 kilometers.
40 kilometers here, in this area.
Yeah, that area.
More here, of course.
It's 300 kilometers here. It's 40 kilometers here. This doesn't look like 40 kilometers. 40 kilometers is a lot of distance.
It's easy for
but
us.
Viewers, let's ask her, how is America going to gain control of the Strait of Hormuz? Tactically, what is it that they will need to do? Because the Iranians dominate this space.
You want?
Yeah.
Please, you first.
Yes.
Sure, yes.
Sure, please come. I'm going to delete all of it. Just mark the USS Lincoln here. Yes. You want to open it? Yeah, stretch it and then open it. Okay. Don't mind this. Okay. We'll stretch this and
just get it down.
Get it down. Further down.
Further down.
Okay, further down. We got it further down and we stretched it. All right, that's okay. All right.
So actually, Tom, just keep on correcting me if I go wrong. First is this Bandar Abbas.
Right.
The main target of towards this side to unlock the leverage which Iranians were always talking about was that we will block Hormuz.
Yeah.
Right. It suits Americans when they block Hormuz.
Right.
Because it affects Chinese a great deal, affects the European Union a huge significant deal.
Why don't we swap positions? You come here, General.
Okay.
Tom, come there. I'll sit here and I'll learn. Yes. Now this works. Yes.
So that is what happens with choking of Hormuz. So it may suit, but that is not for a long-term purpose.
Yeah.
So therefore, they need to unravel the Iranian plan of getting Hormuz blocked. The problem with Hormuz is that the water is not so deep. There are channels which are just about 20-25 meters
25
deep.
to at deepest point 50, but it is very rare.
And the deeper portions are towards Iran, right?
And
so
yes.
You
both
can use
sides.
the pencil. You'll have to activate the pencil.
Opa, yes, I'm trying to.
Yeah.
So this is the inboard lane.
Yeah.
And inboard, and there is an outboard lane.
Right.
And this side, northern side, is a little bit deeper than the southern side.
Yeah, and it's strange because technically when the tankers are loaded, should have been moving on to the deeper side, but there is for some reason, the navigation at seas, they have got the outward one which is much more deeper, where the emptier tankers are going, but the heaviers are going where it's not so deep.
Okay.
The challenge is that they're looking to maybe block by having a filled tanker on the Omani side or hitting empty ones towards their own side.
Right.
What did they have? They got a good navy, which is not a superior navy, but a good navy, and with fast attack boats.
Right.
They got these midget submarines in which a couple of guys can sit. They can go very close and launch torpedoes from the close angle, and plus they got the unmanned systems. They got UAVs or
we'll talk about the Shahid 136 in a bit. I'm just putting out for our viewers, have a look at this. So you have a cluster. This is on the 28th of Feb. This was the traffic. Let's quickly move to the first, second and third, and the traffic starts thinning and it starts clustering all around the Strait of Hormuz. This traffic, can we move to the next one, please? This is 28th Feb. Can we just move to the next one? The 1st of March. See, again, it's thinning. And the clusters are increasing away from the Strait of Hormuz. 2nd March, please. We've got the data for the 2nd March. Can we move to the next one? Yeah, 2nd March, again, further thinning down. Again, clusters in Bandar Abbas and around Oman, and also on this side, Ras Al Khaimah, Dubai and Abu Dhabi. And the last one, we have the data updated for the 3rd of March. That's what the data has come. We don't have the data for 4th March.
Yes.
So absolutely no traffic after they blew up the trench.
Ships.
Yeah. Actually, whatever they had, they were having on this side, they need to degrade. So what Americans are claiming is that they have taken out about 17, 20 of their ships, which are out, right? And of course, you add this another one, it makes a complete figure of possibly 20.
Right.
They also,
Please sit. And Tom, come here. We'll just change the alignments a bit. Aap yahan baithe? Is wale pe. Haan ji. Yes. Okay. Now, in this case, how do we win this back? How do the Americans win this back?
Okay, the procedure is approximately, this is really much compressed, as follows. Firstly, they have to neutralize all the Iranian anti-ship missile sites along the coast. So also on Abu Musa, this is the island here.
Agree?
Yeah, correct. They got a SAM.
They got SAMs there.
And Reitatam. Not only SAMs, but also anti-ship missile sites. So these were destroyed as first.
Okay.
Then there are similar sites here in Bandar Abbas area.
Okay.
There were similar sites here.
Okay.
In order to destroy these sites, they had to destroy SAMs in this area as well. And while doing that, and because of strikes on United Arab Emirates and on Oman, they had also to destroy all the ballistic missile sites in this area.
Right.
Short range ballistic missile sites. So there was lots of airstrikes were going on in this area over the last 5 days. And all the way up to Kish Island, for example, because this is from where the Iranians can still shoot in direction of the Hormuz Straits.
Right. Now they've destroyed all of them.
Only once they have suppressed the Iranian air defense sufficiently to move in their helicopters, are the Americans going to do the next step, which is to move in their warships. Because they are going to scout in front of warships whether there are mines in the water or not.
Right. But if the warships go in, General Saab, then they have to mine the submarines?
I think they will avoid putting in warships here. They'll use the helicopters. The helicopters have got the capacity to actually carry out a check of detecting mines which are there.
Yeah.
They also have got, they'll be having...
They can take out the
ASM,
speedboats.
They'll be able to take out speedboats. So there is a system of escorting, and this is not the first time it will be happening.
Okay.
It has happened previously in
1987, 88.
87, 88 also. This escort system will move, right? Instead of, because when you put in a ship, then firstly the ship occupies space and becomes a larger, slow-moving target.
Right.
But when you take out a helicopter, it doesn't make that much of a noise in the world's this thing. So this escorting system will happen. This site is already held by friendly countries.
Allies, yes.
They need to hold either by air or by possibly later on with ground forces to ensure there is no physical assault which takes place onto
we have
this
to we have to expect the Americans to insert their special forces here in these areas, several teams, and for this to report about the traffic on the local roads, what is moving in what direction, and call for airstrikes if necessary.
Right. Now, let's quickly move to one of the most potent low-cost, weapon system that the Iranians have used. That's the kamikaze drones. Now, Iran's swarm tactics decoded via the Shahid drones. Let's try and understand what these kamikaze drones are, and let's move to that and say, what's the Tor? How are they? How is the enemy? In this case, how is the US-Israeli combined along with the allies here? How are they going to negate the threat of these swarms of kamikaze or suicide drones who are going to catch, who have done so much of damage? Let's try and understand. We will try and. So this is the Strait of Hormuz. We got the issues here. Let's call the Shahid 136. Now these are suicide or kamikaze attack drones. They are one-way loitering munition. This is how they look. They carry a payload of up to 50 kilograms of explosives.
That's approximately this tall or this long, from the ground up here, and with a wingspan like this.
Right.
Approximately, so you can see this better.
Right.
Yep.
So as tall as you? A
little bit taller.
Little bit taller,
longer, yes.
and with a wingspan
like
here.
Yes.
Wingspan like this.
Iranian version is earlier version. It is much more primitive than what the Russians are deploying in Ukraine.
Okay.
Excuse me.
Yeah.
Foremost, it has no system for terminal guidance.
Right.
Means it has no electro-optical camera, for example, so that the pilot at home can steer it straight into specific target. It has no satellite communication capability.
Okay.
Russian UAVs are meanwhile carrying Starlink terminals on them. Some are even armed with air-to-air missiles, so to say.
Yeah.
So, and some of the Russian systems, or Geran, they call them Geran, have terminal electro-optical guidance and thermal warheads which are burning actually.
Incendiary
warheads,
yeah.
Thank you very much. So they are causing really brutal damage when hitting some kind of a building.
Right. So they are designed to dive into the ground targets and detonate on impact. So, but you're saying they don't have cameras, they don't have satellite
yes. Essentially, Iranian UAVs of this type can only target a specific geographic coordinates, nothing else. They cannot target ships, for example.
It weighs about 200 kilograms in total, including the warhead and the booster. It is launched via rocket-assisted rails in large swarms to overwhelm the defenses. My question, General Saab, when you launch something like this, how do you counter this? Because it looks like the UAE and the Gulf nations and the Americans, the cost of defense is far more expensive than the cost of offense. Yeah.
So there is actually no answer to this. Right. The problem is it flies low.
Yeah.
It doesn't take something like what missiles or ballistic missiles does. They fly low. The time to intercept is very, very minimal. The only possibilities for Israelis is to use the iron beam system, because that is the fastest they can actually see, capture and disable from its flight. Because
if you sit there, and we'll come back to this one here, there is no iron beam in this region.
Yeah, so they don't have.
There is no iron beam.
There are just one or two systems deployed in northern Israel.
Correct. Now they've also run out of interceptors here, because the Iranians poked fun, saying that you've got the old P3Vs here now you brought into play because you've run out of supply. My question is, where are they launching these Shahid drones? And we do not know what's their stockpile. if they have 60, 70,000 Shahid drones already ready, kamikaze drones manufactured.
The problem is again the same like with ballistic missiles. They have these small trucks, 3.5 tons. Each can carry between 6 and 9 such drones. Launch them, cover its tarpaulin down, and that's it. It drives around like a civilian vehicle. But I would like to come back to General's observation that one cannot defend themselves against such a threat. The Indian army knows very well that one can. And what the Indian army has decided to do was to use these old, not apostrophes, Bofors guns.
And the L-70s and the 23mm guns.
That is the only way possible, that they need to deploy those old gun systems to protect themselves. But then how many are there? Right. So they got a limitation of range. They can fire about 1.5 to 2 kilometers worth, and the reaction time is that much. This thing you can't actually capture, or you can't just dissuade this. The only option for them is
the speed of reaction is too short.
Too short,
because you have essentially some 5 seconds. Excuse me. So just to help you, you have essentially 5 seconds to react from the moment you detect it until it hits. So you have to react, aim, and shoot it down within these 5 seconds.
And these drones fly at a fair clip. They also fly very fast.
Very fast.
Well, 120 kilometers something. Yes.
They're subsonic.
They are faster drones than original Shahid as well. That's true. Yes. These are much faster.
But if the Iranians have a huge cache of these Shahid 136, does that mean that these regions continue to remain vulnerable?
Of course.
Is it possible that Iran's next move would be to send swarms all across here to try and disrupt the Strait of Hormuz
They're going to continue targeting all the time.
Okay, Tom, I'll just tell you one thing. Right. It's all right to have 65,000, 50,000
drones.
But you need to store them somewhere. They just can't be dispersed. So the best way to destroy Shahid is in their stores, where they're going to be launched from. That's the first best place. And over a period of time, that is what is going to happen, and they must be already happening. The second is, what is the effect? Right? It's something like trying to say that every time an artillery gun opens a fire and gets with a munition of about 20-25 kg or 30 kg explosives going to land, are we going to take off that thing in the air or not? Right? Can you do it? And we can fire salvos of it. The only difference is that this, instead of firing for 50, 20, 30 kilometers or 40 kilometers, is getting across a distance of about 1,000, 2,000 kilometers and striking.
Right, but here this distance is 300 kilometers at its widest and about 40 kilometers at its narrowest. Now, if the Iranians decide and the IRGC decide, they are going to concentrate all of their activity in trying to disrupt the Strait of Hormuz. And they're going to use these kamikaze drones only here to deny any passage for any ships. That means they are going to create an energy crisis for the whole world.
So therefore, that is what Tom was saying, that you need to dominate and ensure that this area, which is the range. So what happens is, when you know this is the range, these are the place you carry out anticipation, you carry out preparation, and by some degree try and reduce the possibility of the enemy to come there and operate.
Right. Tom, agree?
I agree with this, yes. The Americans are certainly going to be after establishing their total control over this area.
Right.
Foremost from the air, but also with help of ground forces in terms of special forces teams.
Right.
And in terms of constant patrolling and attacking anything that might look suspicious. So I wouldn't be a truck driver. I wouldn't like to be the truck driver in Bandar Abbas these days.
In Bandar Abbas these days. With that, viewers, we're going to wind up inside the war room with Tom Cooper. This edition, there's much more to talk about: the Kurds, what's happening on the western front of Iran, and of course the Pakistani involvement. But tune in at 1400 hours for this very, very special effort. 88 hours that changed it all. The 88 hours war. Bye for now.
Navy submarine has torpedoed an Iranian frigate. We are talking about Iris Dana. This has happened off the southern coast of Sri Lanka in the Indian Ocean. Now, Iranian vessel, and this is what we are looking at as the war has spilled into our backyard. This is US Navy submarine sinking an Iranian frigate off the southern coast of Sri Lanka in the Indian Ocean, and that's where this has happened. And we are putting these graphics out for our viewers. Iranian vessel has been identified as Iris Dana. I just mentioned this. It's a guided missile frigate of the Iranian Navy and also pretty new. This was the latest that the Iranian fleet really had. This warship was sunk by a torpedo that was fired from the American submarine, striking the ship in international waters. And they have mentioned it. Pete Hegseth has gone on record and they have said that even though Iranians thought that their vessel would have been safe in international waters, clearly that was not the case. Sri Lankan authorities reported that 32 crew members were rescued. Others are missing or presumed dead. Here's where the problem really lies. As far as the Geneva Conventions, even if international waters are used in a war situation, the first thing that should be done is look for survivors. But the US submarine just left after torpedoing the Iranian warship. The strike part of the broader US military operations has been targeting Iranian military capabilities and including naval assets. And this one, of course, comes in line with exactly that. And that's why this is worrying. Certainly, a response by the Ministry of External Affairs is still pending because remember, the Iris Dana was, of course, returning from the IFR. It was an Indian multilateral exercise and it was returning from Visakhapatnam when this strike was carried forward. And how this is something that we would like to take this, in fact, forward.
All right. So in the studios, we are joined in by Major General Sanjay Miston and also joined in by Ambassador Prabhu Dayal on the broadcast as well. Many thanks to you, gentlemen, for joining in. Major General Miston, if I could quickly bring you in on the spillover effect of this war. You know, so far, Indians had this at the back of their mind that this is so far limited beyond, say, Pakistan at the moment. But not only have we seen palpable anger within our borders, but now with the military conflict brewing in the Indian Ocean, what is one to make of the situation right now?
See, the way the situation is emerging, I think in the international waters to target a ship which was not actually in warfare right now. It was coming after a review in the international, naval review in Vizag, that to the Indian port, and in which multilateral number of nations had participated. And obviously it was way back home. And yes, its role would have been, I think it's a destroyer. I think
Thanks a lot for staying with us. You're with CNN News 18. I'm Shivani Gupta, getting you all the updates from the West Asia war. Let's begin with a quick check of the top stories. Day 6 of West Asia war, US and Israel's airstrikes hit IRGC bases in Tehran. Iran retaliates with missiles while Israel plans multi-week campaign to dismantle Iran's military. US submarine torpedoes and sinks Iranian warship Iris Dana off Sri Lanka's coast. Indian National Congress questions Centre for Weak Regional Influence. 37 Indian flagged ships with 1,109 seafarers remain stranded in the Persian Gulf and Gulf of Oman after the Strait of Hormuz has been closed amidst the military conflict. Trump says the US-led campaign against Iran is about a 15 out of 10. Claims Iran's leadership and missile capabilities are rapidly degrading, vows to press on. Canada's Prime Minister Mark Carney, meanwhile, says Ottawa can never categorically rule out military participation in the escalating war, calls US-Israel strikes inconsistent with international law. So even as this war is raging abroad, there's palette politics back home. Rahul Gandhi, leader of opposition, has now slammed the centre, the BJP government, saying India's oil supplies are under threat with more than 40% of our imports transiting from the Strait of Hormuz. The situation is even worse for LPG and LNG. He's also raked in the issue of how the conflict has reached our backyard with the Iranian warship being sunk in the Indian Ocean. He says, and I quote, "Yet the Prime Minister has said nothing. At a moment like this, we need a steady hand at the wheel. Instead, India has a compromised PM who has surrendered our strategic autonomy." So this is the big update that's coming in. Rahul Gandhi mounting more of that attack coming in from the Congress party as far as the sinking of the Iranian ship. close to Sri Lanka and India is concerned. We'll get you more on this, but remember, this is the war reaching India's backyard. The US Navy sunk this Iranian naval ship near Sri Lanka. It's called the Iris Dana. It participated in Indian naval exercises in February, and it was on its way back, which is why this has become a situation that has embroiled India in it as well, because India was the host of those exercises. This warship was sunk by US submarine that fired a torpedo on it, and it is the first of this kind of hit that has happened in a long time. Certainly outside of the World War II, we haven't seen actions like this. There have been some individual actions that have happened since, but for the US, this is a big action to take. And now there are so many question marks on whether they followed protocol even during wartime while doing this. So like I was saying, this war has reached India's backyard. The US Navy sinking this Iranian naval ship. This is off the coast of Sri Lanka, but was also very close to India. Iris Dana, it was participating in the Indian naval exercises just before the war began. So this was very end of February. The warship was sunk by the US submarine-fired torpedo. US strike is close to India's territorial waters, but it is not technically inside Indian territorial waters. So even though there are question marks of what India could have done, possibly very little. But I want to go across to my colleague Pallavi, who's joining us, tracks the Congress party. Pallavi, Rahul Gandhi mounting more of that attack against the BJP, and you know, this compromised PM narrative as featured now very much in the written text of his attack as well.
You know, from day one, the Congress party has been very critical of the foreign policy of the government, you know, right from the Indo-US trade deal, before that, Operation Sindoor. The insinuation which has come in from Rahul Gandhi himself has been that this government has buckled under pressure coming in from the Americans, and therefore we do not have an independent foreign policy. The entire allegation has been blown up even more when they have accused, including Sonia Gandhi, they have accused the government of actually taking a side, and that side is against Iran. Now, the latest post which has been put out by Rahul Gandhi essentially talks about the dire straits really of the India's economic situation. How because we've taken strides, we'll have to pay a price for it. For example, the Strait of Hormuz being shut down, 40% of the supplies coming in through the strait, despite the government making out assurances that they are 25 days each, which means a total of 50 days, 25 days for crude oil, 25 days for energy products like petrol and diesel. Government says that there is really nothing to worry about. We have an alternative route, but Rahul Gandhi clearly is going to use the present situation to hit out at the government, one, not thinking the policy through, as a result of which economically we'll have to pay a price. When fuel prices start rising, they have a rippling effect on the products and essential commodities. And second, of course, is not having an independent foreign policy. And as we have been saying, 9th March, which is Monday, when the parliament session is going to reconvene, and surely Rahul Gandhi has made up his mind that they are going to use multiple adjournment motions to encounter the government or gherav the government and ask them for answers.
Right. Even though this has nothing to do with India overall, we could actually see another parliament session being washed out. But Pallavi, I also want to understand from you, we are expecting more from the Indian ministry, isn't it? The Petroleum Ministry, to give us a more detailed response on what the plan ahead is today?
Well, I mean, the Petroleum Ministry is doing a 24/7 monitoring of the situation. I mean, they are aware of the ramifications of a long-term closure of the Strait of Hormuz. But, you know, our policy really has been that of diversification. What we did put out earlier, and we're going to look at some more kind of debriefings coming in, is 25 days of crude oil supply, 25 days of energy product supply, which means petrol and diesel. Concerns which have been raised by Rahul Gandhi of LPG, LNG, that is also which the government has pointed out is taken care of at least 25 to 30 days. So we do not have to worry about, because the Strait of Hormuz is only 40% of our trade travels. 60% is through elsewhere, and one of the biggest ones being that of Cape of Good Hope. Also, when it comes to our crude oil supplies, we don't depend completely on the Gulf region. We've looked at other countries, whether it's been West Africa, whether it's been Russia, and also to a certain extent from America as well. So we'll wait to see what update really comes in from the Petroleum Ministry. But the big word from them is don't panic, don't hoard. There's really nothing to worry about.
Right. Pallavi, we'll keep coming back to you for more. Let me just also take you through the implications of this strike which has happened as far as the Indian coast is concerned. So this strike raises security concerns for India and Colombo, both of these countries being close to where it happened. There are maritime tensions that could escalate right in our backyard, which is our concern. We don't really want to see more of this happening at all. Now, India faces the challenge to maintain free and open ocean. This wasn't technically in our territorial waters, but this is, of course, the larger Indian Ocean. The Limera Agreement also complicates India's position, and Indian Ocean becomes now a theatre. As far as this US-Iran war is concerned, there is regional trade, security risk as far as this strike is concerned. Also, Benedict Franke has said that the Iran crisis may be entering its final phase. The Munich Security Conference CEO says the military might of the US and Israel could end the conflict soon. Listen in. Let's also go across to breaking updates now coming in. The Iran IRGC says that they hit a US tanker as well. This could be retaliation as far as the US action is concerned. Let me also go across to my colleague Christine, who's also joining us with more on this. The Iran IRGC says that they have hit a US tanker. This is an the IRGC is also targeting anti-Iran Kurdish groups, but the Iranian IRGC, which is continuing to fire more and more, they are also, of course, firing. As far as US tanker is concerned, already a few tankers close to the Strait of Hormuz have come under attack. Let's just go and try and find out exactly what more has happened. My colleague Christine is also joining us with more on this. Christine, what is the US tanker? Where exactly has it been attacked?
Waiting for those visuals, Shivani. We'll be dropping down those visuals in just a bit. That's the update you've already shared. What I do want you to take a look at very closely is this visual set that came in a little while earlier. This is Israel making big claims. Israel of the view here, and also sharing visuals of the same, confirming it struck Hezbollah command centers in Beirut overnight. So these are visuals of the command center being taken down. If I pause the video here, 1 second. So this is the moment of explosion that has been captured in this one visual as well. I'm going to quickly open it for our viewers once again. These are claims being made as we speak by the Israeli forces. So the Israeli forces talking about the command center that has been destroyed, has been damaged. This is the Hezbollah command center that has been taken down. Now that's one. This is another visual that has been shared by Tehran Times. This is US-Israeli attacks on residential buildings in Tehran and the kind of destruction that it's left behind. So I'm going to zoom in on these visuals. Take a look at this. You see glasses shattered, some of the doors broken. You can clearly see the destruction here, and these are visuals, reportedly visuals from Tehran. So that's the situation as we speak. Look at that. Buildings falling apart, a lot of destruction on ground. Tehran, remember, has seen a lot of damage.
Tell us a little bit more about this battle that is going on between Tehran and US now, because after the sinking of the Iranian ship, they've attacked a US tanker as well. Do we know more about the location of that US tanker?
Still waiting for more details, but what's interesting is that Israel at the moment is looking at a clear two-pronged approach. One is, of course, taking on the Hezbollah in Lebanon. And interestingly, they've also been sending out evacuation orders. So they've been sending out warnings to civilians, especially residential pockets that are in close proximity to all these Hezbollah centers. That they're doing, but it's very difficult to implement it, is what experts have also been suggesting.
We have one expert right here with us. Tom has been with us. Tom, now we are being told that a US tanker has been attacked somewhere in the North Gulf area by the Iranian IRGC. How do you look at this? Will this, of course, turn into an escalation now, the seafront completely being opened?
Well, one can hardly escalate even more. It is just normal. It is to expect. The point is that it shows that IRGC is still capable of detecting, because there are thousands of ships in the Persian Gulf and so on. So they still can make out, this is an American tanker, so let's strike this American tanker. It's simply their way of avenging.
the Iranian ship that has been sunk to this. Let's go across to some of our other guests also who are joining us. This is, of course, now becoming a worry for all other powers. It's not just the Gulf countries that are facing land attacks. There are ships that are from around the world that are part of the traffic at the Strait of Hormuz. So therefore, of course, this is going to be a problem not just for other countries, even for India. You've got, already tankers that have been attacked in which you have Indian staff, you've got Indian seafarers. As far as those ships are concerned, we've already had deaths as far as Indians are concerned. I also want to go across to more of our guests joining us. Burzeen Wagmar is from Center of Iranian Studies, South Asia Institute, University of London. Tara Karta, former director of the NSCS, also with us. Burzeen, how do you look at this counter-attack by the Iranians? I mean, more and more of the land, the sea, several fronts being opened. But first up, did America make a mistake of not even, firing a warning to this ship, the Iranian ship, which was moving back from India? They had nothing to do with the war or the theatre of war. Was this a mistake?
Far from it. It was a preemptive strike because the ship would have made its way to the Persian Gulf eventually and joined the Iranian arsenal to attack not just American armada, but others too. Please remember, there are precedents for this during wartime. And insofar as the Iranian Navy is concerned, I might point out to you, the IRINS Makran, Iran's largest vessel, is destroyed. And most of the fleet, the Iranian Navy fleet, has already been taken out. As per photographs between February 22nd and now satellite imagery obtained, about 11 major vessels at Bandar Abbas and Shahid Rajai port have been decimated. That's number one. On day one, Iran fired 350 missiles. On day 5, it's down to 40. On day 1, 294 drone swarms took to the air. On day 5, 45. And now today is day 6 as it's opened up as we speak. So we can see how this is going. That's to be pointed out too. And of course, insofar as Indian territorial waters and this, that, and the others being discussed, please remember that during peacetime, Iran has been a nuisance by kidnapping Indian merchant navy men far too often on high seas, on vessels, when India had nothing to do with problems with shipping. This is during peacetime. I'm talking the last 10, 15 years. And of course, also, insofar as the high seas concerned, when the Indian Coast Guard intercepted those shadow fleets headed for Chinese teapot refineries some weeks ago, before the war commenced, India was in compliance with UN Security Council resolutions when the snapback clause for full slew of sanctions was implemented on Tehran after 18th October 2025.
All right. Tara Karta, how do you look at the questions, especially the political questions that are mounting on the current Indian government as to what they could have done? Should they have been given some sort of a prior notification by the US? Could they have done anything at all? Maybe those questions are far-fetched, but this does have ramifications for India, right, as far as the theatre of war moving closer to us is concerned?
In terms of international law, no. The US is absolutely within its rights to hit an enemy submarine ship, anything it likes, anywhere, as long as it's not within our territorial waters. Do they need to give us prior intimation? Again, no. I mean, this is the reality. The political fallout is different. I mean, there will be a sense of fear that, this whole thing has moved so close. There is a certain amount of, sadness that they were on our soil. Those sailors were in Vizag just a couple of days back, right? So that loss of life, that kind of sentiment is there. And also that they have, it's a joint exercise. Milan is what Milan means. I mean, it is supposed to be an exercise in cooperation, all that stuff, and then you go and hit the ship. But this is the reality of war. I don't think there should be any political backlash to this, because this is how war works. Okay. And the only thing is, we haven't seen this for years, so it's something new for us.
Yes, all of this is turning out to be a little bit new, because as far as the torpedoing of a ship is concerned, even that many generations haven't seen in this way. It is new post the World War II, but I'm getting some more updates now coming in. There's been another US strike that has hit Iran's Sunandaj targeting Imam Ali military base in Kurdistan province. This is, of course, the lower Iran area, the Kurdistan province. This is where US strikes have been conducted. You can look at the scale of this attack that has also taken place. This is again an important military base for Iran, the Imam Ali military base in the Kurdistan province. This has been attacked in the Sanandaj area as well. So more US action that is taking place. As US is concerned, they have said very clearly that there's going to be hell to come. They've said whatever you've seen in the past is nothing in comparison to what is going to come now, and this is evidence of that. So both US and Israel are very much on the same page as far as this is concerned, and they've both spoken to each other as well. Pete Hegseth, the US Defense Secretary, and the War Secretary has said that we've told the Israelis that go ahead, do whatever you need to do. We are with you till the end. Burzeen, coming to you again. US-Israeli confidence as far as this military program is concerned, also the confidence that they're going to be able to stick together till as long as it comes, because forget Israel, in US certainly there is a lot of pressure against Donald Trump and his actions. Yes, I asked our guest a question. Yes.
Yes. President Trump, as Commander-in-Chief, is absolutely within his rights to initiate war as per Article 2, Section 2 of the Constitution. It is Congress, the legislative aspect kicks in, who can formally declare, I repeat, formally declare war. But the President as Commander-in-Chief is within his autonomy to declare war. So let's clear that. I grant you there is contestation of that and hair-splitting and academic questions on it, but it is not that he's entirely illegal in so doing. That needs to be pointed out too. In fact, US serving men have also stated that. I repeat, the President under Article 2, Section 2 is empowered to undertake such a course of action. Yes, there is an excellent division of labor between the US and Israel, and I see it going through logically speaking, with the Israelis taking on leadership decapitation of the Iranian regime, and the Americans the rest of it by picking up the slack. But you can be sure in days to come, and it's only writing on the wall, that the GCC states are going to be roped in whether they like it or not. Because despite having given in good faith their assurance to Tehran, they were brought into this ring of fire, and Iran did not think twice about attacking civilians. And now, with the most recent attack, including even Turkey, one thought that Turkey would not be roped in, or Iran wouldn't dare to attack a regional heavyweight, but they did, and a NATO interception got to that missile before it landed on Turkish soil. So Turkey is going to change its tone too. So the question is, the Iranians have a high pain threshold because they are desperate and on their, not quite their last leg, but a regime that is embattled and is fighting for survival with its back to the wall. So they will throw everything they have at it. But in the end, it's when the chips fall, you know where Iran will stand, and it's not looking good. Then there's the question of internal revolt. Let's look at the internal situation where I come in from Iranian studies. The Kurdish aspect has to be factored in because the Kurds have been battered and bruised by Iran, especially after the September 2022 Mahsa Amini riots, if you remember too.
Yes.
When the Kurds were not involved, but still across Western Iran, Iran fired drones on its own population, Kurdish Sunni minority population, to quell them when there were no riots taking place in September 2022. You have the Baloch scenario unfolding too on the other end at southeast Iran in Sistan, the Balochistan province, which is Iran's largest province, but also its most impoverished, and which tells you a lot about how Sunni minorities have faced official discrimination in Iran.
Okay,
so
just hold your
those
thought.
two will also enter in along with the local population. To
That's what the Americans and the Israelis are hoping for too, but a tipping point has to be achieved before that. I want to understand this whole NATO factor as well. So far, not all NATO allies have been on the same page with America on this. But this is Benedict Franke of the Munich Security Conference speaking to my colleague Siddhant. Let's listen into what he has said.
Sir, how do you assess the situation in West Asia? Today is the 5th day of conflict going on between Iranian forces and US and American and Israeli joint forces. How do you assess the situation?
I mean, first of all, it's so interesting that you over here call it the West Asia crisis. Yeah. For us, this has nothing to do with Asia, even though it may geographically be correct. This is the Iran crisis, and it goes back a long, long time. Iran has been a major issue for us Europeans and for the Transatlantic Alliance for decades. And in a way, now the last days of this crisis have hopefully come. I personally believe this is going to be over relatively soon. The Israeli and the American military might is unbeatable from my perspective, and I just hope that this isn't fought on the back of the average Iranian people, but that this doesn't just lead to an end of the nuclear program, but to freedom and democracy in Iran.
So earlier it was promised that there's going to be the regime change in Iran. Now it looks like that this has become a war of attrition. How do you look at this assessment?
I'm personally confused as you are about the objective of this military action. I do hope that we will see a regime change, and I mean we have already seen parts of the regime being killed and crumbling, so I guess it's a regime change by default. I just hope, and let me repeat myself, that this doesn't end up as an emperor in new clothes, that this will actually lead to change in Iran.
Are you worried that Iran could also go Iraq way?
Of course I am. But then again, Iraq is now a democratic country. Iraq is now an anchor of stability in the region, and Iraq is prospering. Yes, I don't want to justify the war in Iraq. I don't want to be the referee on it. I just want to point out that Iraq isn't a full-blown disaster.
Tarakarta, how do you look at this situation? Not all NATO allies very comfortable with American action. We've seen responses that have come in from some of them. Spain, for example, there's obviously countries like France who might be sympathetic to the cause overall, which is that, yes, they don't consider Iran a very favorable regime. They consider it a source of regional instability, but not everyone is on the same page.
You've highlighted a very interesting point. There is no single Europe now. Europe speaks in different voices, and it has been speaking that for some time, even with regard to Ukraine. I mean, you saw the divisions there. So the gas prices have shot up. I think I just saw reports that they are looking to get oil again from Russia via Ukraine. That is still going on. So obviously, it is going to cause a lot of countries a lot of heartburn, including us. I mean, we are not part of this war anyway, and yet we are going to get hit badly. China, I think, is now sending an envoy. Finally, China is getting into this and sending an envoy to sort of intercede to see that stops. But again, the question which your reporter just asked, the question is, what is the US objective? It is obviously not just regime change. It is not nuclear, because Iran had agreed to stop all its nuclear activities. And I do repeat, all with absolute investigation by the UN agencies. So
but
it's not
the US doesn't believe that. The US has very openly contradicted this, including the American president himself, that they were not listening to us.
No, but then you have the IAEA chief saying first they had no program. He just said so. There was no nuclear program. And this is something I remember, saying during the Iraq war, when we told the US, look, there is no nuclear program there. So that is it's a big question mark after that.
Okay.
The final, I'm, as a country in Delhi, will want to know when is this war going to end.
Yes.
And it is going to end when US gets its objective. But then tell me what the objective is.
Well, now it seems like it's a complete annihilation of their current leadership plus the IRGC. I think it's not going to be short of that. Yes, Burzin, you wanted to come in.
Yes, please remember, as per the 1st June 2025 provisional IAEA report which Director General Grossi had submitted, Tara, Iran had 60% of uranium enrichment stockpiles of 448.9 kilograms.
Yeah.
Granted, theoretically, that is not weapons grade because you need to crank it up to 90%. But in that same report, Director General Rafael Grossi, Tara, because it was on 1st June, I repeat, before the 25th June 2025 12-day war, that report stated this brings the window down to shrinkage to 0% for the breakout time where Iran could easily assemble 10 warheads. And the last round of talks with Steve Witkoff, which broke down so acrimoniously in Geneva, Shivani, the Araghchi and the others boasted, yes, we've got 440 kilos and we have the potential for 10 warheads. They actually boasted about it. So yes, they did not reach 90% weapons grade, but the race to it was always there. And final point, Tara, the JCPOA was flawed. No matter what you may say about Trump's own personal access to grind with Obama, because therein what had not been factored in, Shivani, is this, the ambiguity which even Senator Kerry had acknowledged back then 10 years ago, that Tara, today would be 2026, the 11th year of the deal if it had continued as it were. By this time, Iran was...
वैश्विक स्थिरता, विकास और साझा समृद्धि को नई मजबूती दे रहा है। फ्रेंड, वर्ष 2026 की शुरुआत में ऐतिहासिक भारत यूरोपियन यूनियन फ्री ट्रेड एग्रीमेंट हुआ। ये एग्रीमेंट भारत और फिनलैंड के बीच ट्रेड, इन्वेस्टमेंट और टेक्नोलॉजी सहयोग को और प्रबल करेगा। डिजिटल टेक्नोलॉजी, इंफ्रास्ट्रक्चर और सस्टेनेबिलिटी जैसे क्षेत्रों में भारत और फिनलैंड महत्वपूर्ण साझेदार हैं। नोकिया के मोबाइल फोन और टेलीकॉम नेटवर्क ने करोड़ों भारतीयों को जोड़ा है। फिनलैंड के आर्किटेक्ट्स के सहयोग से हमने चिनाब नदी पर विश्व का सबसे ऊंचा रेलवे ब्रिज बनाया है। फिनलैंड की साझेदारी से हमने नुमालीगढ़ में दुनिया की सबसे बड़ी बंबू टू बायोएथेनॉल रिफाइनरी भी बनाई है। फ्रेंड, ऐसे महत्वपूर्ण उदाहरणों से प्रेरित होते हुए प्रेसिडेंट स्टूप की इस यात्रा में हम भारत फिनलैंड संबंधों को एक स्ट्रेटेजिक पार्टनरशिप इन डिजिटलाइजेशन एंड सस्टेनेबिलिटी का रूप दे रहे हैं। यह पार्टनरशिप एआई से लेकर 6G टेलीकॉम तक, क्लीन एनर्जी से लेकर क्वांटम कंप्यूटिंग तक कई हाईटेक क्षेत्रों में हमारे सहयोग को गति और ऊर्जा देगा। साथ ही डिफेंस, स्पेस, सेमीकंडक्टर और क्रिटिकल मिनरल जैसे की सेक्टर्स में भी साझेदारी और गहरी बढ़ेगी। भारत और फिनलैंड जैसे लोकतांत्रिक और जिम्मेदार देशों की यह स्ट्रेटेजिक पार्टनरशिप पूरे विश्व के लिए ट्रस्टवर्दी टेक्नोलॉजी और सप्लाई चेन सुनिश्चित करने में योगदान देगी। फ्रेंड्स, फिनलैंड भारतीय स्टूडेंट्स और टैलेंट के लिए एक प्रीफर्ड डेस्टिनेशन बन रहा है। दोनों देशों के इनोवेशन इकोसिस्टम को जोड़ने के लिए आज हमने फिनलैंड के साथ एक व्यापक माइग्रेशन एंड मोबिलिटी एग्रीमेंट किया है। इसके साथ हम जॉइंट रिसर्च और स्टार्टअप सहयोग को भी और मजबूत करने जा रहे हैं। शिक्षा के क्षेत्र में फिनलैंड एक रोल मॉडल है। आज हमने टीचर ट्रेनिंग, स्कूल टू स्कूल पार्टनरशिप और फ्यूचर ऑफ एजुकेशन में रिसर्च सहयोग बढ़ाने पर भी सहमति बनाई है। यानी स्कूल से लेकर इंडस्ट्री तक हम ह्यूमन डेवलपमेंट के हर लेवल पर अपने सहयोग को नई गहराई देने जा रहे हैं। फ्रेंड्स, फिनलैंड नॉर्डिक क्षेत्र में भारत का महत्वपूर्ण पार्टनर है। हम फिनलैंड के साथ मिलकर आर्कटिक और पोलर रिसर्च में भी सहयोग बढ़ा रहे हैं। एक हेल्दी प्लैनेट हमारी साझी प्राथमिकता है। हमें बहुत खुशी है कि इस वर्ष फिनलैंड के साथ हम भारत में वर्ल्ड सर्कुलर इकोनॉमी फोरम होस्ट करने जा रहे हैं। इससे सस्टेनेबिलिटी के हमारे प्रयासों को नई गति और नए विचार मिलेंगे। फ्रेंड्स, भारत और फिनलैंड दोनों रूल ऑफ लॉ, डायलॉग और डिप्लोमेसी में विश्वास रखते हैं। हम एकमत है कि केवल मिलिट्री कॉन्फ्लिक्ट से किसी भी मुद्दे का समाधान नहीं निकल सकता। यूक्रेन हो या पश्चिमी एशिया, हम संघर्ष की शीघ्र समाप्ति और शांति के हर प्रयास का समर्थन करते रहेंगे। हम इस बात पर भी सहमत हैं कि बढ़ते हुए ग्लोबल चैलेंजेस के समाधान के लिए ग्लोबल इंस्टीट्यूशंस का रिफॉर्म आवश्यक ही नहीं, अर्जेंट भी है और आतंकवाद के हर रूप को जड़ से समाप्त करना हमारी साझी प्रतिबद्धता है। योर एक्सेलेंसी, आपने आयरनमैन ट्रायथलॉन कंप्लीट की है। हमें विश्वास है कि आप जैसे ऊर्जावान लीडर के साथ मिलकर हम भारत और फिनलैंड के बीच इनोवेशन, डिजिटल और सस्टेनेबिलिटी के एक नए ट्रायथलॉन को भी अचीव करेंगे। आइए भारत फिनलैंड के इस फ्यूचरिस्टिक पार्टनरशिप में एक नए सुनहरे अध्याय की शुरुआत करें। बहुत बहुत धन्यवाद।
Thank you, sir. May I now request His Excellency Dr. Alexander Stubb, President of the Republic of Finland, to give his remarks to the media.
Mr. Prime Minister, Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, namaskar, terve. As you said, thank you very much for your kind words. Also, thank you for the warm hospitality that you have shown us here. I have to say that I salute your diplomatic skills when you say that we stand here as two big democracies. There is one big and one slightly smaller, but I think the key message is that we share values. I would also like to congratulate you for your leadership. My last visit to India was actually in 2013 in my capacity as Minister of Trade. And the change that I just see on the streets of New Delhi and that I will most probably see in Mumbai in a couple of days is palpable. This is an economic miracle that we're witnessing, and I wish you all the best. Thank you also for welcoming me. I arrived yesterday in the middle of Holi, which was lovely to see. I was able to escape some of the color attacks that were coming at me, but it was a great experience as such. The previous state visit of Finnish head of state, the president, was actually in 1996 with President Martti Ahtisaari, who was very much a man of peace. He won the Nobel Prize of Peace in 2008 and was a great respected leader. Rarely, if ever, have we been in a situation also where we've had a prime minister here 2 weeks ago in the form of Petteri Orpo, and now a president 2 weeks later. India obviously is one of the world's largest and most influential countries and the world's largest democracy. And as we have seen, you are now a key strategic partner for Europe. Its importance in foreign and security policy and trade policy is difficult to overstate. You are one of the fastest growing economies in the world that we can witness here every day. And what I really respect about your foreign policy is that you've never been under illusions. You've always based your foreign policy on a pragmatic and realistic worldview. You've showed the rest of the world that strategic caution and safeguarding autonomy means a lot, all the while championing multilateralism and global cooperation. And I believe personally that we should all become a little bit more Indian. It's an honor for me to open the Raisina dialogues today together with you, Mr. Prime Minister. It's amazing to see the growth of Raisina. Only in 10 years it's become one of the key set pieces where everyone in the world is listening and watching what is happening at Raisina, not least right now when the world is so turbulent. The world is changing. We are living through a transition in the global order, and India, together with its friends in the global south, will determine the direction in which this order will go. And that is one of the key issues. It's been so fruitful to discuss and understand your approach. Today we discussed security issues in the region. We have conflicts in both regions, in West Asia and also, of course, in Ukraine. And for us, Russia's war of aggression against Ukraine has lasted for too long, 4 years. We agreed that ending the war is in everyone's interests. A lasting peace can only be one that respects the principles of the United Nations. Today, in my speech at Raisina, I will once again call for a change in the multilateral system where the division of labor and power would reflect today's world, and therefore I think a seat in the UN Security Council for India is of utmost importance. We of course also discussed today the relationship between India and the EU, and I have to say that the trade agreement and the strategic partnership that was forged just a little while back between the EU and India is of great significance. When the world is in transition, the United States, Russia, China, and many others, the fact that we can have a values and interest-based partnership between the European Union and India is very important. Now, of course, we're also strengthening the relationship between Finland and India. As you just mentioned, we're deepening our dialogue in many sectors, and our goal is to at least double our trade. A good beginning is the fact that we have 20 Finnish companies here who are traveling with me from a wide range of industries, from technology to quantum, to satellites, to networks, to food, and to green tech, which you mentioned. Our dialogue is further strengthened by the fact that we have a very strong Indian community in Finland. I know these numbers don't sound big to you, but for us they are. There are over 20,000 Indians that reside in the capital region of Helsinki and actually in Espoo. A gentle reminder, Finland has a population of 5.6 million, which is a little bit like a suburb in New Delhi. So you have to understand that for us figures are of a different scale. Our Indian friends are a very valued member of our society and contribute significantly to our economy and culture. And it's good to also have the mayor of Espoo here with us today. Finally, I would like to thank you, Mr. Prime Minister, for our excellent discussion. Anytime you have allotted a short amount for a one-to-one discussion and you run over it extensively, you know that the discussion has to be good, and we really enjoyed that. So sorry to the delegations that we were so late, and thank you once again for your warm hospitality for this state visit. I really appreciate it.
Do incorporate the Iranian point of view. Syed Abbas Araghchi, the Foreign Minister of Iran, seeing red because he said that the US has perpetrated an atrocity at sea 2,000 miles away from Iran's shores. Frigate Dana, a guest of India's Navy carrying almost 130 sailors, was struck in international waters without warning. Mark my words, the US will come to bitterly regret precedent it has set. Ambassador Sajjanhar, this is also a warning over to India with regards to what could happen next.
Well, you know, it was in international waters, as Foreign Minister Abbas Araghchi has said. It was not in India's territorial waters. And this ship was in the vicinity of India. It was in the neighborhood of India, so that's a matter of great concern. But I think what Foreign Minister Abbas Araghchi has said, it's setting a precedent for what could happen. That means if there are hostile naval vessels or in international waters, then even terrorist actions could take place against them, and they would also become attractive targets for such actions, and that would set a very bad precedent. And here it would not only be hostile in the traditional sense, but all those who have been supportive. Like you would see, as far as Iran is concerned, it has been hitting out, it has been shooting at all the Gulf states also. So in a manner of speaking, since they have got bases of the United States on their territories, they have also been categorized as hostile powers. But of course, Iran is trying to reach out to them, saying that their hand was forced because the United States was attacking them. But that doesn't explain why they had to go after the
do you sense
civilian.
a little bit of an instigation or a provocation is also...
Welcome back and thank you so much for staying with Sierra News 18. I'm Griha Atul. Let's now get you the big piece of breaking news that's coming in from the state of Bihar, where there has been a historic change after being the chief minister for 2 decades in the state of Bihar. Now Nitish Kumar has filed his nomination for the Rajya Sabha. So that piece of breaking news is what we are putting out for our viewers. Remember, this has been rather historic. He stepped down as the Chief Minister of Bihar. He's now, in fact, filed his nomination for the upper house of the parliament. This is what we are learning of, and there you can see the visuals. We do know how the Union Home Minister, along with other senior leaders of both the BJP and the JDU, were all in attendance for Nitish Kumar to take this next step as far as political journey is concerned. Now, in fact, moving on from the active politics in Bihar and taking a seat there in the Rajya Sabha. My colleague Payal Mehta is joining us on the broadcast. She's in Patna. She's tracking every development as far as this nomination filing goes. Payal, you have been keeping a track of every development there from Patna, and you were telling us earlier on how even the Union Home Minister was going to be very much present there alongside Nitish Kumar for his nomination filing. What all has happened now?
Well, the nominations have been filed. Nitin Nabeen, the BJP's national president, and Nitish Kumar, who is, of course, going to be embarking on a new journey, will be nominated to the Rajya Sabha for the first time in his career. He's been a former minister in the union as well, but 10 years of chief minister rule is no mean task as well. But tempers are certainly very, very high even now as well, because a lot of his supporters continue to sit here and they continue to say that, they're not happy with the fact that Nitish Kumar has decided to go away from Bihar and go to the center as well. But that's a thing of the past, Griha, because now you know that it's a reality. Nitish Kumar, if those pictures can be beamed, you'll be able to see his camaraderie with Amit Shah is very evident when he's putting his arms around Amit Shah's shoulders and essentially, smiling. So those pictures speak a lot for itself. Nitish Kumar in the morning also, Griha, coming out and clarifying it was his decision that he wants to move and go to Delhi as well, and he continues to guide the state of Bihar. So big development coming to the fore. The era of Mandal politics, like many will say, will now end with, of course, Nitish Kumar drawing a closure on his career as a Bihar politician in the state.
Right, absolutely. So now that the nomination filing has happened, there is so much chatter around Nitish Kumar's son also, joining and being anointed as the deputy chief minister there. So a lot of changes that the administration largely, as far as the alliance in Bihar is going to see. The next step and the next conversation now shifts to who is going to be taking the chief ministerial chair there in the state.
Well, of course, that's a very big question. And, Griha, my sources have just told me that all the leaders, including Amit Shah, have moved to the Bihar state. Guess they're going to have a closed-door meeting over there because a lot has to be decided. Remember, Nitish Kumar's son is not even a primary member of his party as of now. He has to be inducted into the party, and very reluctantly, just about last week, Nitish Kumar had given a go-ahead to his party top leadership, saying that if you so feel that my son needs to enter politics, so be it. You all take a call on that as well. So Nitish Kumar's son has to still be inducted in the party before he gets any post as well. Remember, nothing is going to happen till the 16th is what we are given to understand, because the Rajya Sabha results are going to be out on the 16th as well. Till then, it's a wait and watch. But a lot of conversation, who becomes the CM, how many deputy CMs will you have, who will take the chair of the CM, will the BJP agree, with whatever the JDU really wants at this stage as well. If they want Nitish's son to be inducted as a deputy CM, since he was the CM, that all those questions have to be answered as now. But Amit Shah, the man who actually kept the Bihar equation completely in his mind when the elections took place, is yet again in Patna. He has kept things in his control, and he will be taking a lot of crucial calls as well. Of course, phone lines will be dialed, because nothing in this party gets its final approval without the approval of the Prime Minister. And you can very shortly expect a tweet or at least a social media post coming about Nitish Kumar's career from the Prime Minister himself, in terms of the new leap that is going to take as far as his career is concerned. But it's going to be a few days before we actually decide, because you'll have to see, because Nitish Kumar has not resigned as a member of the Legislative Assembly, he's not resigned as the Chief Minister. He'll probably wait for his election result to be out before he takes the next step. And that will in fact define the new history that Bihar will be about to create.
Right, absolutely. But do stay on with us. So this is interesting. We have Mr. Manikam Tagore of the Congress Party now joining us on the broadcast. Mr. Tagore, how do you see these developments? So Nitish Kumar, while he's filed his nomination for the Rajya Sabha, he's not yet signed on to the dotted line to quit as the Chief Minister of Bihar. So he's weighing waters, he's testing waters, he's assessing whether or not he makes it to the Rajya Sabha seat. Only then does he resign as the Chief Minister of Bihar.
These are all wrong way to look at it. I think that this is a BJP and Modi and Amit Shah, how backdoor entry they are doing it in the state of Bihar. The people of Bihar have never accepted BJP. And they always wanted to capture Bihar, and they used Nitish Kumar as Mukota. Now, after the election victory in 2025, now they are doing these kind of things to force him to resign from the Chief Ministership, make him as the MP, and BJP person will be the Chief Minister of Bihar. This is complete backdoor entry of BJP into Bihar. It shows that it's a warning to Chandrababu Naidu. It's a warning to Edappadi Palaniswamy. It's a warning to Eknath Shinde. Whomever is aligned with them has been eaten away by BJP like this. BJP's habit, and particularly Mr. Amit Shah and Modi, wants to finish those alliance partners who are with them. And Nitish Kumar was one of those people who had stood with them. And because of him only, the government was formed in UPA, in the national level this time. BJP was reduced.
Mr. Tagore, while you mentioned that, so if at all it does turn out to be a successful exercise by the Bharatiya Janata Party to keep Nitish Kumar placated, giving him the Rajya Sabha seat, and then also taking on the government in Bihar, so there is something to learn from the BJP playbook then. There is that way also to look at it.
That's a completely wrong way to look at it. This is the problem with you people, like people who are just becoming the answer BJP. The elected chief minister has been thrown away like this. The election commission, elected chief minister has been threatened by Amit Shah, and he has been forced to resign. And they are making him Rajya Sabha member. And you are making a different tune into it.
No, absolutely not.
In India is becoming, we have to
absolutely not, sir. We are looking at both the aspects. You are making an accusation that he was forced into resigning. Of course, there were conjectures that will always be rife, that this is another stepping stone for the Bharatiya Janata Party to make its way and open its account when it is about the chief ministerial chair in the state of Bihar. It's a very known fact. But there is another aspect that I have just brought to fore. If at all this is how BJP is choosing to play its game, and you are saying people like Chandrababu Naidu also need to worry, while keeping the two big alliance partners without the two, BJP will not be in government, while keeping them placated. BJP, if it's managing to do this, this is a great achievement, don't you think?
You take it as achievement, but I see the murder of democracy in India. The democratic principles have been murdered here. Daylight robbery is happening. The verdict was for Nitish Kumar, and Nitish Kumar has been threatened, and he has been sent to Rajya Sabha. And people of Bihar are now being fooled, and Amit Shah wants to put his proxy as the Chief Minister of BJP proxy as Chief Minister of
we did
Bihar,
have
people
our
are
colleague
cheated by Modi and Amit Shah.
Right, Mr. Tagore, we did have our colleague on ground and she was speaking to the people of Bihar. They are not too happy about Nitish Kumar stepping down as the Chief Minister of the state. So it cannot be a complete walkover that is given to the Bharatiya Janata Party. Clearly, they will have a lot to prove in states like Bihar or for that matter Andhra Pradesh if you are taking into account on how that state also can be next. How do you think there is no counter that is coming in from these alliance partners because Nitish Kumar has happily accepted his fate, like you choose to put it? What about Mr. Naidu?
It's all fear. Agencies are being controlled. Under fear they are working. They are not able to, they are given their head into the lion's mouth. Therefore, they are not able to take it out. The problem is that the fear for agencies, fear for threat, and Mr. Babu and Eknath Shinde are going to be eaten away by the BJP, particularly by Amit Shah and Modi. This is very clear. The model is Nitish Kumar. A popular leader is being reduced to this like what you are saying it. BJP people are saying that he's been fielded for Rajya Sabha. What
I'm
is that
still asking you, what is stopping them to pull the rug? What is stopping them to pull the rug? They can pull the rug. The alliance will no longer be there. Fear. It is called only fear. Okay. All right. Let me, in fact, thank you on that note. Thank you so much for that perspective of yours. Maritime Tagore of the Congress Party. We are getting fresh set of visuals, and there you see Nitish Kumar alongside the Union Home Minister filing his nomination for that seat in Rajya Sabha. Payal continues to be with us on the broadcast. Payal, these next set of visuals that are also being played out now, we do see Nitish Kumar sitting alongside leaders like Nitin Nabeen and Amit Shah. More details that are trickling in. I was just mentioning your conversations that you are having while outside where this nomination filing is taking place. How are people in Patna really taking this news?
Look, to speak about Nitish Kumar's supporters, they are very, very upset because they felt that Nitish Kumar should have taken a wiser call and stayed on in the state of Bihar because they needed him the most over here, and that he's not going to fulfill any purpose by being there in the center. But today, Nitish Kumar's tweet itself clarified that the decision was taken by him. He is, of course, the national president of his party, and he's somebody who's taken that call very, very visibly as well. So, a lot of upset Karyakartas you can see over here. In fact, rallying behind leaders who are also filed his nomination. Remember, Ramnath Thakur has also filed his nomination. He is also being accompanied out of the center from where they are going to file the nomination. But no doubt whatsoever, people who have known Nitish Kumar as the Sushashan Babu, 10 terms as the Chief Minister of Griha, it's no mean achievement by any standards whatsoever. Nitish Kumar has stood for the state of Bihar. So like I said, that the curtains will come down on the mandal politics that Nitish Kumar really stood for now that he goes to the center. But like I said, that it is a well thought out plan. We have to just wait and see what went behind the scene conversation between the JDU and the BJP before them taking this call, because I'm sure the BJP would have been informed by the JDU that Nitish Kumar said that it was time for him to move on and make way for somebody else because his health has not been the best. But the BJP, to be fair, had always portrayed him as a chief ministerial face. So even after the fact that his health was in a pretty bad state during the election, the BJP continued with his name because they had, named him as the chief ministerial face. The Nitish Kumar stayed as the chief minister. He got sworn in as the chief minister for the 10th time, in the month of November. But now it is, in fact, time for him to move ahead as well. So what really went behind the scenes, what conversations he had, I do know for a matter of fact that Nitish Kumar did have a conversation with his party top leaders like Sanjay Jha, Lalan Singh, etc. a few days ago when they really said that, sir, your health is not great, so what do we do about Nishant's case as well? So he was very reluctant because, through his entire career, Nitish Kumar has always been against dynastic politics. He's been somebody who's risen from the grassroots as well. And that is one reason, despite the back and forth between him and Prime Minister Narendra Modi, Prime Minister Narendra Modi has huge admiration for a leader like Nitish Kumar, who's actually risen from the ground, spoke about what he really believed in.
Right, absolutely. Payal, do stay on with us. We have Mr. Dhanni Tarun also now joining us on the broadcast. Mr. Dhanitharan, how do you in fact see these developments that are coming in from the state of Bihar, while there is a lot of criticism that is coming your way as far as whatever is happening in the state of Tamil Nadu? There seems to be this placation exercise that is at play by the Bharatiya Janata Party, where they've almost managed to keep Nitish Kumar, happy by granting him that nomination for the upper house of the parliament and taking that chief ministerial chair altogether from him.
See, who am I to comment on the affairs of JDU and BJP? I'm a DMK spokesperson. But also having said that, I quite vividly remember the bloc was saying that Nitish wouldn't remain the chief minister candidate. So if he has to become the Rajya Sabha, he can become. He does not need the BJP's support because his party has a sufficient number of MLAs. So what is there? But the whole point is we stand here, what we said to the Bihar people, rather the India bloc, said the Bihar people that Nitish Kumar won't be continuing as the chief minister. So they cheated the Bihar people because they kept saying that Nitish Kumar is going to be the chief ministerial face and continue as the chief minister for the entire five years, and the people had voted for Nitish Kumar. So now the message for Edappadi Palaniswamy also is very clear. So Edappadi Palaniswamy, though he may claim once in a while that he is the real face of the NDA in Tamil Nadu, that's not the case. For every inspection, he has to go to Delhi. And whatever happens, the real power will remain with the BJP, and the idea of BJP is to completely obliterate ADMK.
Salim, why I asked you that question was because we had your alliance partner in Tamil Nadu Congress and Mr. Tagore had joined us. Now, he is clearly mentioning that this is only a threatening exercise that is at play here. We will see a similar situation with Chandrababu Naidu. We've already seen something historic that is happening in Bihar, where you've got in fact, two-decade chief minister to go ahead and step down for a Rajya Sabha seat. So anything is possible under the Bharatiya Janata Party is the claim of the Congress party. Do you not want to weigh in on this?
No, that's exactly what I said. Even for ADMK, there's a clear message here. That is that the whole idea of
we are bringing you all the live and latest updates from ground zero, as CNN News 18 is the only channel with boots on the ground, particularly in Israel. With that, let's quickly get started with the headlines.
Day 6 of the West Asia War, US and Israel airstrikes hit IRGC bases in Tehran. Iran retaliates with missiles while Israel plans multi-week campaign to dismantle Iran's military infrastructure.
US submarine torpedoed and sank Iranian warship Iris Dana off Sri Lanka's coast. International Congress has questioned the center for its weak regional influence and lack of response.
In the meanwhile, 37 Indian flagged ships with 1,109 seafarers remain stranded in the Persian Gulf and Gulf of Oman after the Strait of Hormuz was closed amid the military conflict. India is closely monitoring the situation.
US President Donald Trump says the US-led campaign against Iran is about a 15 out of 10. Claims Iran's leadership and missile capabilities are rapidly degrading, vows to press on with joint operations.
And Canada's Prime Minister Mark Carney says Ottawa can never categorically rule out military participation in the escalating war, calls US-Israel strikes inconsistent with international law, though.
Now, it's important to highlight that the tensions in the Middle East are no longer just limited to the Middle East. They have inadvertently spilled over. They've in fact reached the Indian Ocean. This is US Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth has confirmed that an American submarine sank the Iranian destroyer Iris Dana, that by using a torpedo just 25 miles off the coast of Sri Lanka.
In fact, he also described this as a quiet death for the warship, claiming it was the first US torpedo sinking of an enemy vessel since World War II. There are contradictions that have come into that, of course. But for Sri Lanka, the fallout is anything but quiet. The ship was returning from naval exercises which were being carried out in India when it was hit.
While the Sri Lankan Navy has rescued 32 survivors, 80 bodies have been recovered. and dozens more remain missing. In Colombo, MP Namal Rajapaksa is sounding the alarm already. This by warning that the US has brought its war to India's doorstep and that Sri Lanka can no longer treat this as regional tension, as someone else's problem. Listen in to the reactions that have come in.
Ship, the Soleimani, looks like POTUS got him twice. In the Indian Ocean, and we'll play it on the screen there, an American submarine sunk an Iranian warship that thought it was safe in international waters. Instead, it was sunk by a torpedo. Quiet death. The first sinking of an enemy ship by a torpedo since World War II.
Let's quickly get to details of what's happened the last few hours and why this could be concerning for India. Everyone's got talking about how the war has reached India's backyard, and that's being said for a reason. US Navy sank an Iranian naval ship. So this was a warship which was targeted, all of this planned, remember, and this happened very close to Sri Lanka. Remember, this is the southern coast of Sri Lanka. A little off of it is where this naval warship was, Iranian warship was targeted by a US submarine, Iris Dana. This, in fact, was a warship that was participating in the Indian naval exercises. So that's what we know so far. This is why this particular warship was stationed here, very, very close to the Indian coast as well. Now, this exercise, this naval exercise that the warship was participating in India was in the month of February itself. It was sunk, like I said, by the US submarine. They fired a torpedo. US strikes very close to India's territorial waters. So this was not India's maritime boundaries as such, but in India's backyard is what's being spoken of. And why this should be concerning for India is another story. Experts weighing in on what this could mean for the not just the Middle East, but also now India and Sri Lanka. There are people like the Sri Lankan MP, the reaction that we'll be playing out in just a bit. They've spoken of how this is concerning for sure. Now, whether there was any sort of communication that took place between the United States, the Indian government or the Sri Lankan government, there's no clarity as yet on that, whether or not any sort of communication had happened, but this is why this Iranian warship was stationed here. What's being spoken of by the United States is that Iran was mistaken, that it's not going to be targeted in the Indian Ocean, and that's exactly what has happened here. Our guests joining us in the studio continue to stay on with us. We have Tom Cooper. He's been with us day in and out to really break down the military aspect of the story here, along with Major General Rajan Kochar, defense expert, with us in the studios, and former diplomat Ambassador Ashok Sajjanhar is here as well. If I can just begin with you, Tom. Good morning. Tell us a little bit about what we're seeing here and why this should be concerning. First, tell us about the manner in which this entire assault was carried out. How do you think US went about this?
Good morning, and thank you for attention, for all the attention. As for this attack, well, it's relatively simple. We have to be, or can be sure that the US Navy submarines were monitoring this exercise run by the Indian Navy and including the Iranian Navy warship, which is a standard procedure for the US Navy, firstly. Secondly, once the exercise was over, the US Navy submarines were tracking, one or two submarines were tracking the movement of the Iranian frigate. And, well, as soon as it was out of the Indian territorial waters, there was probably a communication to Washington, okay, we are ready, we are in suitable position, and communication back, strike them. Then what we've seen on the video of the sinking, of the attack actually, this video was taken by a camera installed into the periscope of the US nuclear-powered attack submarine, and what we see is that the torpedo detonated under the rear of the Iranian vessel.
All right.
Lifting it out of the water, breaking it back, and causing catastrophic damage in the process.
All right, I can see we have one more guest joining in, Roar Aidar, who's an author and former Israeli ambassador to Italy as well. Thank you, Ambassador, for joining in. But quickly, let me bring in Ambassador Ashok Sajanhar also, given that we are looking at Indian Ocean right now. Ambassador Sajanhar, this is not just in violation of the Vienna Convention, but look at the way this is also shaping into a maritime conflict, because till yesterday we were talking about how the conflict is now already in the Strait of Hormuz, and with those dramatic visuals that were released by the US CENTCOM go on to indicate how the Indian Ocean is also extremely vulnerable at the moment.
No, absolutely. You're very right. I think this is developing really into an all-out war, and it is not limited only to the proximate parts as far as Iran is concerned, because the attack was on Iran. Then Iran has decided, it has always wanted that this war should expand. It should not be limited only to Iran. So it is gone about pounding the Gulf states, the Gulf nations. And we've seen the sort of damage that has been wreaked. And for the first time over the last 47 years since the Islamic Revolution came into Iran and the Islamic Republic was established there, for the first time the Strait of Hormuz has also been closed off. You would recall, Akansha, that there have been very many attacks, there have been very many problematic times as far as Iran is concerned in terms of its conflict with the Western countries, with Israel, etc. But on no occasion over the last 47 years has the Strait of Hormuz been closed off. So here we see for the first time, and the impact and the repercussions of that, of course, are, the shocks are being felt all around the world, not only India, but even all those who are importing energy from there. And now, as you said very correctly, it is the Indian Ocean, which is, the only water body that is named after a single country, that is India.
So in
and
fact,
that is also coming under
Tom
attack.
can weigh in on the visuals with Kritsween. And while he does that, Major General Rajan Kochhar, the big talking point here in the Indian polity is you can already see the kind of attacks that are coming in from the opposition, particularly the Congress party. For how long will India remain silent? We have not seen a single statement come in condemning the killing of the Ayatollah. We have our reasons to do so, yes, fair enough. But when the conflict is spilling over into our own waters, what is India supposed to do?
You see, Akanksha, I think this is a serious concern as far as we are concerned, because it's in our backwaters. And if today it has happened to an Iranian vessel, it could happen to any of our vessels also in case we have a conflict with any country, because these are international waters. And as per Article 51 of the UNCLOS, a ship can be targeted in self-defense. But there is no self-defense involved here, because the Iranian ship was not intending to strike at the US submarine or anything like that.
In fact, it was coming back from our own exercise, Exercise Milan.
And one important aspect you have to understand here is that America was also part of this exercise, and America withdrew at the last minute, but its Poseidon P-81, its surveillance aircraft, was very much a part of this exercise. So I think the intention was very, very clear. It's a pre-planned kind of an attack. It is not off the cuff, because America was knowing that there is an Iranian ship which is taking part in the exercise. It had this P-81 which was able to carry out the surveillance of this ship, and when also, the right opportunity came, they shot it down, by a torpedo. Is
it not true that such warships are also not adequately clad as well as they should be if they are coming back from a war exercise? Let's quickly have those visuals in fact being
Tom, if you can quickly come in. We should zoom in on these visuals. Look at the area. Now the fear is that this has entered the territory that possibly one had not seen the conflict reach this soon. What US is saying very clearly, I think this is where the warship has been targeted, right? This is the
approximately
area.
This area.
Okay,
yes.
This is the area. Okay, lovely.
So the Iranian frigate traveled either this way or came around Sri Lanka, one of the two.
Now, the United States says that Iran was wrong in thinking that it's safe in international waters. But what do you think was the warship doing here? Is that standard protocol? Were they waiting because all wasn't well, in their waters, given the ongoing conflict? What do you think explains this location, and whether or not permission, has to happen? What really goes on when a warship like the one that's been taken down is stationed in international waters?
Excellent question. Thank you very much for asking. Technically, well, theoretically, if this Iranian warship would have been, let's say, sent back home, and it would be in a hurry to sail back home, it would travel in this direction, or along this route. Instead, it come down here. So it was probably waiting for whatever happens. Whether for orders from home, which it was unlikely to receive these days, because command and control nodes, communications in Iran have been severely disturbed by airstrikes, or whatever else.
And what was
point
the route
is,
you think?
it was not in a rush to head back to Iran.
What was the route you think the US submarine took? And clearly, like we've been discussing, our experts have been weighing in on how the United States was aware that the Iranian warship did participate in the naval exercise, which was underway in India. Now, which route did you think they took? And could there be no chance that the warship could have intercepted the submarine coming in?
Okay, also excellent questions. There are two possibilities. One is that the submarine was tracking the Iranian warship, shadowing it all the time. Another is if this Iranian warship went through the passage between India and Sri Lanka, then the submarine rushed around and was searching for it in this area here. Why? In order to detect it with its sonars. US Navy submarines have extremely advanced sonars. They can identify ships just by the sound of their machinery. And I'm not talking just about identifying, for example, warship from a merchant ship, but identifying different ships, warships, in the same ship class. That means they knew which one is this frigate and which one is that frigate. Because every single ship has its own sound fingertip, tip, if you want to explain it this way. So the US submarine was probably waiting for the Iranians to arrive in this area. That is the alternative version. And when they detected it, they intercepted it at the first opportunity.
And tell us about the success rate, because this warship was torpedoed.
Yes.
What's the success rate? What's the kind of distance that the submarine maintains? Tell us a little bit about the technicality here.
Okay. Let's try it this way. Just a second, excuse me to set up everything. So, you have the water surface. The ship is somewhere here, the submarine is somewhere here.
Yeah.
So, the submarine is primarily using its sonar, which is installed in its front part. And this can detect such a frigate from 40-50 kilometers away.
Okay, 40,
if not even further. Depends on how well is the or how poorly it was the hull and machinery constructed. That is the first thing. Then it approaches. Usually, the submarine is searching to approach from the front of the enemy, of its target. So that would be from above. This is the profile. This is from above. Why? Because torpedoes have it easier to strike from the front.
Okay.
Yeah, that is the first point. Second point. So now, from what distance? Gauging by the periscope, I would say from something like 3 or 4 kilometers away, which is quite close for modern combat.
And the accuracy is such, you're telling us that it was difficult to intercept this one?
No, on the contrary. The submarine has probably used one of Mk-48 torpedoes, which are sound guided, which means that they're tracking the ship by its sounds.
Yeah.
They're also using sonar. And one point is, and they are also wire guided, which means the crew of the submarine can guide the torpedo into the enemy ship. That is one point. The other point is that this torpedo is programmed to detonate under the hull of the target in order to break its back. Why? Because in such case happens exactly what has happened, which is that an enemy ship or the target is instantly sinking.
Yeah, and that's where we sort of have to agree with Pete Hegseth when he says that the warship was, or Iran was wrong in thinking that, they're safe in international waters. Possibly they didn't see this coming through. We'll come back to you, Tom. Over to Akanksha for more breaking news.
We're getting in some latest details. As we said, that this will not be taken lying down in the Indian current political climate, and Congress leader Pawan Khera is continuing with his war of words, criticizing Prime Minister Modi's Mahasagar vision. He's called it ineffective, as this US strike in the Indian Ocean has exposed India's inability to assert control, is what Pawan Khera is saying. He also goes on to say that India is being sidelined with the United States and Israel now operating without any control. They're operating freely, undermining our own sovereignty in the waters, the national security. This while Prime Minister Modi's silence amounts to an anti-national stance. Let's quickly take that forward with Pallavi Ghosh, who's joining me with the details. Pallavi, as we've been discussing, not a statement or any form of condemnation is certainly going to backfire for the government. It seems as it's already being indicated.
Well, Akanksha, right from the beginning, the Congress party has been extremely critical about the way the entire events have folded out in the Gulf on Israel and Iran issue. And in fact, they have accused officially also the BJP and the Prime Minister of clearly taking sides. I mean, if you look at that extensive note which went out by way of an article by Sonia Gandhi, she very much condemned the government stand, saying that there should have been a sympathy and you should not embolden countries like Israel and America who are showing their brute power by assassinating the supreme leader. So having taken that stand, they are going to use every opportunity to keep on questioning and re-questioning the foreign policy of the government, accusing the government also of bending backwards to please America, whether it was the Indo-US trade deal, whether it was earlier on the Operation Sindoor narrative, and even now with the events which have played out as far as an attack on the Iranian ship is concerned. Again, multiple questions being raised by the Congress party through Pawan Khera is that what kind of a foreign policy are you showing? We are believed to be non-aligned. We do not pick sides, but over here, the continued silence of the External Affairs Ministry and of the government itself is a very disturbing sign. So come Monday, when Parliament session begins, this is going to be a big issue which the Congress will use to get out the government.
All right, many thanks to you, Pallavi, for bringing us all those latest inputs. Let's quickly go across to some more breaking inputs coming in. These ones are from China. This is China's Foreign Minister Wang Yi has said that China will send a special envoy to the Middle East to help mediate as regional tensions are escalating further. In fact, let's quickly take that forward with our guests who continue to stay with us. Let me quickly finally go across to Ambassador Dror Aidar. Ambassador, thank you for so patiently awaiting your turn. If I could quickly bring you in on the kind of Chinese sentiment that we are observing in the last 2 days. First, there was a word coming in from the Chinese foreign minister over to the Israeli counterpart, Minister Gideon Saar. He's reminded them that the talks were very much on when the attack happened, and now China is willing to send their envoy for mediation. Do you think that the United States and Israel are willing for mediation at the moment?
Good morning from Israel. I think it's a joke. It's a joke because you were speaking for a quarter an hour about the sinking of the Iranian frigate in the Indian Ocean. You know that the Iranians were risking your oil transportations. And we are speaking about a state, an entity that is a terrorist entity. We speak in a very diplomatic words about an entity that used to threaten every normal power or state in the world, not only Israel or America. So China was not speaking about Venezuela, was not speaking about anything. China was not speaking about the existential threat of Iran towards Israel. So now they send someone to mediate. It's late. What we need is to demolish the power of this regime that was threatening even on India. The Iranian wanted to block the Strait of Hormuz. you know what are the implications, economical implications, and other implications for India. So what America did in the last 24 hours, it's very good for also for you guys. I understand.
All right,
that,
Ambassador Aida, we have some more fresh inputs coming in. We will continue with that discussion, but for now, let me quickly toss over to Krithvi.
Let's shift our focus to more breaking news that's just trickled in. Now, what we're learning is that there's yet another footage that we have accessed here, where you can see how Iranian missile launchers are being destroyed by the Israeli Air Force. So that's another strike that Israel has gone ahead with, and we've zoomed in on these visuals for you as well on what this looks like, what this really means for the Iranian missile launchers. And we've seen several such visuals now being shared both by the United States and by Israel as well. Here's another proof that they've put out. I'm going to try and go over to our newsroom to understand whether we have more visuals that support this claim, because remember, now this is turning out to be a war of narratives. Who's going to push their narrative to social media at the earliest? That's what it's come down to. And Israel is keeping up with its own role in asserting what it says are the facts here. I do want to bring in Greha into the conversation. She's joining us from the newsroom. Greha, what are we looking at here? Have you been able to ascertain what these visuals suggest?
Right, absolutely, Christine. You just put that out on the big wall. So what we see happening here, and these are images that have been released to us by the Israeli Air Force. So they are putting out these shots which in fact go on to show these target locks. There you see the target locks. And there is this infra footage that pretty much is talking about how a ballistic missile launcher in the Qam region in Iran that has been attacked by the Air Force there. And also they are talking about a defense system in Isfahan that also has been attacked. So all of this they continue to talk about. But there's one interesting aspect that we've managed to in fact access, Krithween. We are looking at more than 1,600 sorties by Israel into the territory of Iran, and that's something that we'd like to bring out for our viewers. They're talking about how 300 ballistic missiles have been in fact damaged, and that has brought down the military heft of Iran by almost 70%. But again, these are claims by the IDF, by the Israeli Air Force, so we have to take it as they come. And these are the images that are supporting the claims that they are making.
Okay, all right. We also have another breaking news update coming in on the number of flights that stand cancelled, because remember, what we're also closely monitoring is the situation wherein several of those people stranded in different parts of Middle East, how soon can they be brought back to their home nations? That's another important focus. Do remember, we've been sharing updates both on part of Indigo, SpiceJet. They do have a plan in place in the interim on how they're going to bring back Indians from the Middle East, at least from the UAE. There's a specific plan in place. But what about the flight cancellation status in the latest hymn?
Right, Krithween, as you just mentioned, of course, we've been seeing those disruption maps and the maps that we've been getting from the Middle East. Now, the ones in pink are the airspaces which are completely closed, and the ones in blue are partially closed airspaces. So we're also looking at the global flight cancellations, which are now above 23,000. So of course, we're seeing the kind of impact it's having on the aviation industry overall, not just in West Asia. So more than half of the 36,000 scheduled flights that have been cancelled, and that equates to about 4.4
So we're seeing an area marked in pink, and I'd request my video journalist to quickly zoom in on this. There's an area marked in pink, and you can see Iran, Iraq, the airspace is completely shut.
Right, and the ones in blue are
and UAE has seen a shift in the story, isn't it, Him? We've seen on day one, there was complete closure of the airspace there, but slowly flights are resuming from UAE.
Now, we are seeing redirection and we are seeing some activity there as well. But the fact of the matter is there are so many flights that have still been cancelled. We are looking at some 4.4 million seats, Krithween, across the globe, not just in this particular region, but of course, it's all a result of what is happening here and the flights that are being rerouted and redirected.
In fact, earlier this morning, we were breaking down details, figures, what is the plan of some of these Indian airlines. SpiceJet, for instance, starting the 5th of March, has come up with a detailed plan on the number of flights that are going to fly from UAE to India, bring back some of the stranded individuals, those who wish to return to safety. How smoothly that plan can be executed is the bigger challenge here. So we'll have to wait on that one for the next couple of hours. Akanksha, it's over to you in the studio.
Thank you, Kritzween. In fact, CNN News 18 continues to bring you voices from both ends of the conflict. And right now, joining me live on the broadcast is Dr. Hushang Amir Hamadi, who is the president of the American-Iranian Council. Thank you so much, sir, for joining in. Do you think the United States is in a position to win this war
so quickly? And that's one of the reasons why we were not able, that's why people did not get the exact picture. But with all the actual data coming out, I think it has something, it has put light and put facts in place. And I think the nuclear deterrent that Pakistan claims to have still, I think it has, it has been damaged. And I believe that going forward, but I'm not sure they've already restarted, their nuclear program because they have many, behind the scenes partners to help them do that. So we don't know yet, but it seems that it has been destroyed. But a nuclear threat that they keep issuing, seems exposed right now with the actual information.
Right. Final word on the nuclear bluff. Yes.
We are discussing this in the book as well. There is a huge nuclear program in Pakistan. They are spending billions, 2 billions unknown to be spent in order just to maintain it per year. This is without production of weaponry and so on. So there is a huge program. But apparently, considering what has happened last year, it's useless. Why? Because they do not have platforms, that means fighter jets and missiles or missiles that could be used to dependably deploy this against India.
Right.
And if you have nuclear weapons, but you don't have the means to deploy them,
what's the point of having them?
To the enemy, then it's absolutely pointless having them.
Pointless to have them. Well, for the rest of it, we're not going to tell you more. There is also the entire PL-15 bogey and the bluff. But for that, you'll have to get this book from the bookstore and read it. And it's a must-read. Very, very engaging. This is part of the Asia at War series that's been authored by Tom Cooper and the others. 88 Hours War, the India-Pakistan War of May 25. Congratulations on this book. And thank you, Tom. Thank you very, very much.
Very much my pleasure. Thank you very much for inviting me here.
Thank you. Thank you. We're going to take a short break. Stay with us.
Devastation, a direct hit by a missile.
Picture is that the US is not able to defend.
Of a drone of massive, the number of ballistic missiles.
Where is it that Iran is actually placing its resources right now?
Tabriz, Sanandaj, Kermanshah. And this is now what they are doing since yesterday. They are conducting more or less an organized.
This is our network phone. We've got some more images here. We've got another image of the US Navy's 5th Fleet Headquarters in Manamabad.
Oman, Saudi Arabia and this way to Europe.
Iran now has been completely, in some ways, dominated.
With ballistic missile attack. It means the Kuwaiti air defense was under big strain.
Now, let's quickly move to one of the most potent, low-cost, weapon system that the Iranians have used. That's the kamikaze drones. Now, Iran's swarm tactics decoded via the Shahid drones. Let's try and understand what these kamikaze drones are, and let's move to that and say, what's the Tor? How are they? How is the enemy? In this case, how is the US-Israeli combined along with the allies here? How are they going to negate the threat of these swarms of kamikaze or suicide drones who are going to catch, who have done so much of damage? Let's try and understand. We will try and So this is the Strait of Hormuz. We got the issues here. Let's call the Shahid 136. Now these are suicide or kamikaze attack drones. They are one-way loitering munition. This is how they look. They carry a payload of up to 50 kilograms of explosives.
That's approximately this tall or this long, from the ground up here, and with a wingspan like this.
Right.
Approximately, so you can see this better.
Right.
Yep.
So as tall as you? A
little bit taller.
Little bit taller?
Longer, yes.
And with a wingspan
like
here.
Yes.
Wingspan like this.
Iranian version is earlier version. It is much more primitive than what the Russians are deploying in Ukraine.
Okay.
Excuse me.
Yeah.
Foremost, it has no system for terminal guidance.
Right.
It means it has no electro-optical camera, for example, so that the pilot at home can steer it straight into specific target. It has no satellite communication capability.
Okay.
Russian UAVs are meanwhile carrying Starlinks, terminals on them. Some are even armed with air-to-air missiles, so to say.
Yeah.
So, and some of the Russian systems, or Geran, they call them Geran, have terminal electro-optical guidance and thermal warheads which are burning actually.
Incendiary.
Warheads,
yeah.
thank you very much. So they are causing really brutal damage when hitting some kind of a building.
Right. So they are designed to dive into the ground targets and detonate on impact. So, but you're saying they don't have cameras, they don't have satellite
yes. Essentially, Iranian UAVs of this type can only target a specific geographic coordinates, nothing else. They cannot target ships, for example.
It weighs about 200 kilograms in total, including the warhead and the booster. It is launched via rocket-assisted rails in large swarms to overwhelm the defenses. My question, General Saab, when you launch something like this, how do you counter this? Because it looks like the UAE and the Gulf nations and the Americans, the cost of defense is far more expensive than the cost of offense. Yeah.
So there is actually no answer to this. Right. The problem is it flies low.
Yeah.
It doesn't take something like what missiles or ballistic missiles does. They fly low. The time to intercept is very, very minimal. The only possibilities for Israelis is to use the iron beam system, because that is the fastest they can actually see, capture.
Hello and welcome to CNN News 18 with me, Ayushman Singh Jamwal, as we continue the coverage on the situation in the Middle East, where the conflict between the United States, Israel and Iran continues to escalate. And it seems there is a spillover of the fight in India's backyard. Big breaking news which is coming in. Another Iranian ship is in Sri Lanka's exclusive economic zone. The Iranian ship seeks permission to make an urgent port call in Sri Lanka is the big news that's coming in, ladies and gentlemen, given the fact that just 2 days back, the United States submarine, a submarine of the United States military, downed an Iranian frigate off the coast of Sri Lanka, off the southern coast of Sri Lanka. And Pete Hegseth made it extremely clear in his press conference that POTUS has got Iran twice. And that is the big statement that is coming in from Pete Hegseth when it comes to the situation that is unfolding now in India's backyard. Now, another Iranian ship, which is what several Sri Lankan politicians have been fearing. They've been fearing the fact that this entire conflict could spill over into our backyard. And another Iranian ship, we have to get more details over what kind of ship is seeking a nod to make port in Sri Lanka, because the earlier ship that was downed by a US submarine was an Iranian frigate. It was a warship that was downed by a US submarine, and Pete Hegseth made it extremely clear that no matter where Iranian military assets are, the United States will continue to target them. I want to get more updates from my colleague Akanksha, who's getting us this piece of breaking news. Akanksha, so it seems the conflict is only spilling over into our backyard.
And they have in fact asked for permission to dock over there. And in the latest information that we are being told is that what's very disturbing is that there are children also on board on this particular vessel. Given that we've seen how a torpedo in fact destroyed that one, the other Iranian vessel named Dana. We do not know how safe this particular vessel is going to be. Will the Indian government be willing to provide them protection right now, or will the Sri Lankan government be in a situation to provide them protection? It is in fact right now fairly nascent to comment on that, because we are not getting in much information, but we are being told that there's a second vessel which is being stranded. Now, what's also important to note over here, Ayushman, is the fact that this entire conflict is spilling onto a maritime conflict as well. From Strait of Hormuz, you're looking at the IOR, the Indian Ocean region, which is bearing the brunt of this. And for all you know, this vessel actually could be in a very fragile condition right now. It's extremely vulnerable, given that we've already seen the loss of 80 lives in the previous incident that's taken place, which was a torpedo sent out by a US submarine. According to Pete Hegseth, the Defense Secretary in the United States, it's the first time the US has torpedoed a vessel after World War II.
Right, but at the same time, we were speaking to Namal Rajapaksa yesterday as well, and he has said that the Sri Lankan government has not been forthcoming with a lot of the information. There is also reports which are coming in that Sri Lanka could have been in the know when it comes to the US operation against the Iranian frigate, which was downed by the US submarine.
That's an information that actually can be posed to India also, because they were, in fact, were invited initially to our own naval exercise, Milan. And the question that's now being raised is that for how long could this have been an Indian responsibility, given that they were here upon our invitation? A. B. It was participating in a naval exercise, which is why that ship was entirely defenseless. They did not have arms and ammunition to defend themselves. So to attack such a ship, was it even justified, that even though it was a warrior ship? Yes. And so let's not forget, Namal Rajapaksa is also an opposition voice right now. So for them to actually raise questions at the government of Sri Lanka, nonetheless, they have provided rescue, which initially, according to the Vienna Convention, should have come from the United States, not Sri Lanka.
Absolutely. Thank you, Akanksha, for getting us that update. So these are the big updates which are coming in as the war seems to be shifting to our backyard, where another Iranian ship now seeking port in Sri Lanka, coming right after the Iranian frigate was downed by the United States. So more and more updates coming in as the war continues to spill over, and it seems there is a bullseye on each and every Iranian vessel, no matter where in the world, in this case, near India. More breaking news that's coming in. Iran makes a conditional offer to the US. Iranian Deputy Foreign Minister says that Iran is ready to abandon its nuclear program on the condition that the United States presents a satisfactory alternative offer, is the pitch that's coming in from the Iranian Deputy Foreign Minister. Ladies and gentlemen, when it comes to the war games going on in the Middle East, it seems some wiggle room coming in from the Iranian side to come to some sort of resolution. Iran has been bombarded across Tehran and as well as other military as well as civilian infrastructure across the country, namely the command centers across Iran have been completely bombarded. Even their military installations have been leveled by this consistent American and Israeli strikes. So it seems the Iranian Deputy Foreign Minister has said that Iran is willing to give up its entire nuclear program if there is an alternative offer coming in from the United States. So has Donald Trump pushed Iran to the talking table when it comes to seeking a resolution for the conflict that is only escalating in the Middle East? To get more details, I'm joined by my colleague Greha on the broadcast. Greha, so some concessions seem to be coming in from the Iranian side.
And that's a big statement to make, Ayushman, particularly from Iran, where they are going and putting it in black and white that they are ready to abandon their entire nuclear program if an alternative is offered by the US. Now, how does one look at it? Is Iran on the back foot because of the pounding that it's receiving on part of US and Israeli forces? Or is it that they want the dialogue now? Because remember, the earlier stance by Araghchi was that they do not want a dialogue now that the escalation has come in from America and Israel. But now there is a counter stance that has been brought to fore. So are we looking at a dialogue, or there is an underhanded conversation that is already happening with the US and the Iranian regime, for that matter, of a possibility of a dialogue? Because we have been discussing about how different narratives are coming to fore when it is about Washington. So is there a conversation that has happened beyond the radar when it is about between Washington and Tehran? Is the big question now that this statement has been made, ready to give up their nuclear ambitions, if at all an alternative is offered by America. But what that alternative is going to be is again the big question, because they were stockpiling uranium. They were saying that this is not for building a nuclear weapon. So what happens to that? Whether there will be an IAEA access to their nuclear facilities, whether that granting is going to be given by the Iranian authorities also is something that we'd have to wait and watch out for.
But the IAEA has given that green light to the Iranian nuclear program, saying it's not a weapons grade nuclear program. At the same time, is this also indicative of the fact that there could be factionalism within Iran? Because ever since the death of Ayatollah Khamenei, it seems two different voices are coming in from Iran. One just ramping up the tension, saying they will go scorched earth across the Middle East, and now this conciliatory message coming in from the Deputy Foreign Minister.
While you mentioned about that, the fact that the scorched earth policy of Iran is also now has been extended when it is about the energy sector, how oil, energy, everything seems to be impacted. Probably a dialogue has come in from the Gulf nations, because they are bearing the brunt. And because of the Gulf nations, all of the countries that import energy, oil from there, from the OPEC nations, will of course want this reconciliatory stance that possibly Iran is coming to fore with. And also about the leadership question that you mentioned about. Now that Mujtaba is the supreme leader of Iran, there were other moderate factions that have also come in. When we take a look at Ali Reza, for that matter, maybe that conciliatory tone is because of that, because they need some kind of a neutral standing somewhere, because a lot of upheaval that Iran has right now gone through. They are still mourning the death of Ali Khamenei. So this could be one particular stance that they want to go ahead and probably have that dialogue with America now finally after this entire exchange of fire. Maybe Iran is on the back foot, or maybe not, who knows.
Absolutely, and that's a very interesting point, that beyond the factionalism, the Gulf nations could also be exerting pressure on Iran to come to the talking table, because the United States has made extremely clear they will control the airspace over Iran, and they will continue to pound the command centers as well as the military assets across the country. So that is the big update that's coming in. Some conciliatory messaging coming in from the top officials in the Iranian regime, but also getting reactions from the Iranian envoy Mohammad Fatah Ali in an exclusive conversation with CNN News 18. Let's get to that.
In the middle of this war. Yes, you know that we are mourning because we have lost a great figure and great personality. And you know that His Eminence was our leader and our marja. And I want to say that our father. And we believe that His Eminence always advise us, you try your best for stand on the right side of history. I believe that His Eminence stood on the right side of history and received his reward from Almighty Allah. And now we announce that we respond strongly, firmly, this assassination. And unfortunately, the United States and the Zionist regime wants to disturb and destroy all the international law and international norms. And you know that we announced that we are, as Iran, due to our capability and capacity, we are ready for negotiation and peace and war. But we prefer the peace. But we are ready, fully ready and completely ready for the war. This is our stance. Now they started the war and we decided to end of the war, the duration of the war.
पटना में श्री नितिन नवीन जी
राष्ट्रीय अध्यक्ष भाजपा श्री नीतीश कुमार जी, बिहार के यशस्वी मुख्यमंत्री श्री रामनाथ ठाकुर जी, श्री उपेंद्र कुशवाहा जी और श्री शिवेश राम जी के राज्यसभा के नामांकन के लिए यहाँ पर आया हूँ। श्री नितिन नवीन जी राज्य में लंबे समय तक यशस्वी राजनीति करने के बाद भाजपा के राष्ट्रीय अध्यक्ष बने हैं और अब वो राज्यसभा के माध्यम से संसद में भी अपना योगदान देंगे। हम सब एनडीए के सदस्य, भाजपा के करोड़ों कार्यकर्ता नितिन नवीन जी का राष्ट्रीय राजनीति में और संसद में स्वागत करते हैं। आज बिहार के यशस्वी मुख्यमंत्री श्री नीतीश कुमार जी ने भी राज्यसभा में अपना नामांकन किया है। इसके साथ ही बहुत लंबे अरसे के बाद श्री नीतीश कुमार जी फिर से एक बार राष्ट्रीय राजनीति में राज्यसभा सांसद के नाते प्रवेश करेंगे। 2005 से लेकर आज तक नीतीश कुमार जी बिहार के मुख्यमंत्री रहे। उनका एक कार्यकाल एक प्रकार से बहुत यशस्वी रहा। ये कार्यकाल उनका बिहार के इतिहास में स्वर्णिम पृष्ठ के रूप में लिखा जाएगा और बिहार के विकास के सारे मायने को उन्होंने गति देने का काम किया। उन्होंने अपने शासनकाल में बिहार को जंगल राज से मुक्त करने का काम किया। इन्होंने बिहार की सड़कों को न केवल गांवों तक जोड़ा, बिहार की सड़कों की स्थिति को भी सुधार किया। इतने लंबे करियर में विधायक, सांसद, मुख्यमंत्री, केंद्रीय मंत्री रहते हुए उनके कुर्ते पर कभी दाग नहीं लगा। पूरा जीवन भ्रष्टाचार के आरोप लगने बगैर इतना लंबा राजनीतिक सफर शायद ही किसी राजनेता ने तय किया हो जो नीतीश कुमार जी ने किया है। बिहार में हर गांव, हर घर में बिजली पहुंचाने में भी उनका बहुत बड़ा योगदान रहा। हमेशा नीतीश जी सादगी, शुचिता और सार्वजनिक जीवन के उच्चतम मूल्यों के पक्षधर रहे, जिनका पालन उन्होंने भी किया। नरेंद्र मोदी जी के नेतृत्व में 11 साल तक बिहार को हर प्रकार से आगे ले जाने में बहुत बड़ा योगदान किया और उनके नेतृत्व में ही मोदी जी की भेजी हुई सभी योजनाएं बिहार के जन जन तक पहुंची।
It's a big day in the history of Bihar as the son of the soil, Nitish Kumar.
We are bringing you all the live and latest updates from. Now, it's important to highlight that
Pete Hegseth when he says that the warship was or Iran was wrong in thinking that they're safe in international waters. Possibly they didn't see this coming through. We'll come back to you, Tom. Over to Akanksha for more breaking news.
We're getting in some latest details. As we said, that this will not be taken lying down in the Indian current political climate, and Congress leader Pawan Khera is continuing with his war of words, criticizing Prime Minister Modi's Mahasagar vision. He's called it ineffective as this US strike in the Indian Ocean has exposed India's inability to assert control, is what Pawan Khera is saying. He also goes on to say that India is being sidelined with the United States and Israel now operating without any control. They're operating freely, undermining our own sovereignty in the waters, the national security. This while Prime Minister Modi's silence amounts to an anti-national stance. Let's quickly take that forward with Pallavi Ghosh, who's joining me with the details. Pallavi, as we've been discussing, not a statement or any form of condemnation is certainly going to backfire for the government. It seems as it's already being indicated.
Well, Akanksha, right from the beginning, the Congress party has been extremely critical about the way the entire events have folded out in the Gulf on Israel and Iran issue. And in fact, they have accused officially also the BJP and the Prime Minister of clearly taking sides. I mean, if you look at that extensive note which went out by way of an article by Sonia Gandhi, she very much condemned the government stand, saying that there should have been a sympathy and you should not embolden countries like Israel and America who are showing their root power by assassinating the supreme leader. So having taken that stand, they are going to use every opportunity to keep on questioning and re-questioning the foreign policy of the government, accusing the government also of bending backwards to please America, whether it was the Indo-US trade deal, whether it was earlier on the Operation Sindoor narrative, and even now with the events which have played out as far as an attack on the Iranian ship is concerned. Again, multiple questions being raised by the Congress party through Pawan Khera is that what kind of a foreign policy are you showing? We are believed to be non-aligned. We do not pick sides, but over here, the continued silence of the External Affairs Ministry and of the government itself is a very disturbing sign. So come Monday, when Parliament session begins, this is going to be a big issue which the Congress will use to gear out the government.
All right, many thanks to you, Pallavi, for bringing us all those latest inputs. Let's quickly go across to some more breaking inputs coming in. These ones are from China. This is China's Foreign Minister Wang Yi has said that China will send a special envoy to the Middle East to help mediate as regional tensions are escalating further. In fact, let's quickly take that forward with our guests who continue to stay with us. Let me quickly finally go across to Ambassador Dror Aidar. Ambassador, thank you for so patiently awaiting your turn. If I could quickly bring you in on the kind of Chinese sentiment that we are observing in the last 2 days. First, there was a word coming in from the Chinese foreign minister over to the Israeli counterpart, Minister Gideon Saar. He's reminded them that the talks were very much on when the attack happened, and now China is willing to send their envoy for mediation. Do you think that the United States and Israel are willing for mediation at the moment?
Good morning from Israel. I think it's a joke. It's a joke because you were speaking for a quarter an hour about the sinking of the Iranian frigate in the Indian Ocean. You know,